Hey everybody, happy Thursday. I apologize for the wait. But I am here now. Welcome to another live. I want to actually go ahead and start this live by giving a shout out for the support. I want to give a shout out to LA from NC. I received your Cash App and I greatly do appreciate your support. And everybody go subscribe to LA from NC. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. Yes, thank you so much for supporting my channel by sending that Cash App. And also, I want to give a shout out to Arissa Bay for sending me a super sticker at my last live. It was on my other channel, but I greatly appreciate it as well. And I also want to give a shout out to Aries. Aries also sent a super sticker. So again, shout out to LA from NC for the Cash App. Arissa Bay for the super sticker in my last live on my other channel. And also Aries for the super sticker on my last live in my other channel. Yes, thanks y'all for the love. And everybody else, you can support my channel for free as always just by hitting the like button. You can get my video into the algorithm, so make sure you are hitting that like button. And let's see who's in the building today. We have Ashton. Hey, Tina is in the building. Good to hear your beautiful voice today. Okay. Oh, I said beautiful voice. I'm giving my own self a compliment. I'm misreading your comment. I'm complimenting myself. Okay, let me read your comment. Okay. Okay. Hello, Danny, chat, everyone. Glad to hear your voice, beautiful lady. Okay. All right. I'll take that as well. Justice for Shanquella. Yes. Hashtag justice for Shanquella until the day she gets what? Justice for Shanquella, and we definitely will keep saying that until she gets justice. If you did not watch my last video, I actually posted a statement from the FBI, and the FBI said that her case is still open. It is not being closed, and since it has not been closed, they will not be releasing all the documents and evidence that they have collected. Usually once a case is closed, they are able to release these things, but since her case is open, they still are holding on to all the evidence in her file, and that is great news for everybody. We are all excited and happy to hear that news, that a case is open. That means that all hope is not lost, and yeah, it's still ongoing investigation. So in that regard, I don't know why they put out this statement of insufficient evidence if they are still trying to pursue this case and they're still keeping it open. So that's great news either way it goes. Okay, so we have I already said hey to Tina, and then we have Demetria in the building. Welcome. So let's keep up the good work. Yes, yes. I will be on this channel. I try to go back and forth between channels, so I will be on this channel. I probably will kind of take this weekend off just to refresh, but I will be on this channel. We will be having panels and everything else. Just a quick update. I was unable to get a medical examiner as of now that will actually go over the autopsy, so I will go to the autopsy myself. I mean, if you can't get someone else to do it, you got to do it yourself. And I completely understand why some medical examiners don't want to touch this at all, because they will be under a microscope. They will be probably posted on different platforms and even probably the news. It probably could go that far to where their opinion will be cemented or are taken into consideration at any point, even during like a trial. Their opinion can be put out there because they are a medical expert or forensic expert medical examiner. So people will take their opinion of that autopsy seriously, right? It's a difference between me giving my opinion and an expert giving their opinion. So I can see why some people will be like hesitant to do that. However, once it goes to trial, because we will speak this into existence, that it will go to trial one day, that once it goes to trial, that obviously the prosecution will obviously find a medical examiner that will be an expert witness on this, and also bring in the original doctor that did the autopsy. And yeah, so we are not accepting the undetermined cause of death, or should I say manner of death, because there's a difference between manner of death and cause of death. I went over that in my previous video, so check that out if you actually want to understand what I mean by that. But yeah, we are not accepting that manner of death, because it does not offer closure. And in anything in life, in any relationship or anything you have, closure is actually a good form of healing, to know what happened, why it happened, how it happened, information like that, and also to have justice for something that has been wrongly done to you or a family member. And without all those things, a family cannot get closure. And that's why I say to continue to keep the Robinson family in your thoughts and prayers. This has to be devastating. And trust me, if it hurts us, and a lot of us have cried and have been heartbroken over this, then imagine how the family feels, because this is their own flesh and blood that has lost their life due to violence. It has not received justice in all this time, only to be told that it's insufficient evidence and the killer is out there on the loose with her manhand, Dejanay Manhand Jackson. So yeah, Arissa Bay, yes, you're in the building. Thank you so much for always supporting my channel. Yes, Auntie, yes, I greatly do appreciate the support. Especially a lot of times when there's a lot of negativity, sometimes it's good to know that, that other people are here and supportive, and that could be through different ways, just by even showing up and just hitting the like button, actually shows support for my channel. So I greatly do appreciate everyone that shows support in any form or fashion, and especially, of course, my day ones and my regulars that continuously show support. Oh, yeah. All right. So we have Rosemary's in the building. Thank you, Moz, for getting things started. I see Sharon's in the building. Thank you so much. And we have Two to Tango. So yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people on, I love to see it, especially when I have people from my main channel and on my second channel. Like, whoa, y'all make sure y'all keep up with me, child. Keeping up with Danny, child. But y'all keep up with me. I love it, because that actually shows like versatility, and also how y'all can appreciate different types of content from me. You can appreciate when I do like entertainment or just like YouTube news and drama beef over there. And then over here, it can be all serious and about activism and advocacy. And that's how it is in real life. You can go to work and have your your job, your occupation, or your profession, or what you're passionate about doing, helping people and different things like that. And then on the weekend, child, you can turn up and you can go to a club, you can have fun, you can be chilling with family, you might actually do code switch. So by now, everyone knows how to do that switch up, child. You just got to know the time and the place, and that's all to it. Welcome. So Saint LaShonda Dunn, welcome. I think I've seen you on my other channel, so welcome to this channel as well. Yes, I love it. Okay, so Aries 1 is in the building, and yeah, I got your super sticker. And trust me, I was trying to hurry up and get out that live so I can actually try to eat something, because I felt like kind of faint. I'm like, I don't got time to follow live. I got to actually have some energy for this next live. So yeah, I hurried and tried to get off that live, but I did see your super sticker at the last second. But yeah, I did shout you out in this live. So yes, thank you so much for the super sticker, Aries 1. I always supporting the channel. And yes, dropping those swords. So Miss Nola's in the building, as well as Two to Tango. I already said hey to her. Gotta take 5. Hey. I hope you're doing okay. Okay, let me say a few more greetings, because now that we're 8 minutes in, it's time to get started on this live. I don't want to keep y'all here all day. I mean, I already had y'all waiting some, so I don't want to. Let's go ahead and get into this content. Vanetta's in the building. Welcome. PM channel. Good evening. Tell Danny, moderators all in the chat. # justice for Shanquella. Yes, keep hashtagging that on all platforms. Good evening, everyone. Hey, Sheila. Okay, keep it coming, Danny. We love you. I love y'all too. And trust me, y'all like show me too much support. It's like, oh, y'all make me feel so special. I'm literally blushing sometimes. Y'all make me feel so special, and I appreciate it. And yeah, we all have to keep it going. Shanquella needs justice. We have to definitely be her voice. And let me actually check the petition page while I'm here. Give me just a second to pull up the petition to see where we're at with that, because I definitely have to make sure I actually promote that during every live to make sure we keep going, because that's one way to keep awareness going. Okay, let's see here. We are currently at 41,056 signatures. So we have 41,056 signatures. And remember, before we were at 40,000, we were close to like 40,000. So now we're already at 41,000. We're continuously growing in numbers. The numbers are increasing and ever growing. That means that everyone is still out here saying, we want justice for her. They're sharing the petition, because that's how the word gets out, word of mouth. Sharing the petition. Now, some people actually donate to the petition. And remember what I said before, all donations go to change.org. Nothing goes to me from when you donate to the petition. They actually tell you that any donation to the petition goes to change.org, and it goes to promoting the petition. Oh, and let me tell y'all this great news. I have 2 petitions with change.org, and they have actually accepted me into their change.org like plus program, meaning that they will actually give me extra tools and extra features and different things I can use, and like, you know, like tell me more about how I can increase awareness through the petition, and anything I can learn, or any strategies or marketing or any tools or access to even promoting the petition. I will greatly accept it, right? So they will be helping me with that, and I will see if I can learn any other strategies. And with that, once you're into the change, they actually will promote your petition more onto their social media, and that will obviously create more awareness. I just have to participate in a few things every now and then, but if I have to do that just to get this petition out there to more people, then so be it. So that's just a quick update on the petition. And again, thanks to everyone that continuously shares the petition and mentions it. And with that being said, I'm sure at some point we will get to 50,000 signatures. Oh my gosh, that is like so great, y'all. To if everyone that has been here from the beginning to having 0 signatures to 3 to 15 to 100 to 1,000 to now almost we have 41,000. I can just see it. We will have 50,000 signatures, 50,000 people standing strong in solidarity for justice for Shanquella. And yeah, so I love it. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the next thing. Pretty much, there hasn't been a whole lot of activity, but remember Mario Black. Mario Black is the one person that has hosted a lot of events for Shanquella, such as the balloon release, that first rally that was at the church, the walk to the post office with the pink envelopes to send to Mexico and the White House. And recently he has been meeting at like B80s, the corner of B80s to do like sign protests. And everyone knows when you're dealing with, if anyone has ever been to a protest, you know good and well, like you go outside and just simply standing on the street corner with a sign up can create awareness, because there's a lot of traffic and cars going by. Cars will honk their horn like beep beep in support of your whatever you're doing. So it is actually a great feeling when people honk their horn whenever you're out there like that. It's like, even if you're not standing on the corner with me, the simple fact that you're honking your horn and actually like rolling your window down and saying, yeah, we support you, that actually like makes you feel like, hey, it's even more people, even though there's not a lot of people standing out here with signs, there are still people that know about this and are really getting awareness out there, increasing the awareness. So that's also a great way as well. So yeah, I love it. Anything that can bring attention or awareness is great. Okay, so with this, it says keep her name alive, weekly gathering, and Charlotte continues for Shanquella Robinson. So I guess they're saying it's going to be weekly, so they're probably going to do this every week, or they're going to do it periodically, and that's all great. I probably will reach out to Mario to see if this is going to be weekly, just for clarification, and I won't be able to do it right now because I'm live, obviously, but I will reach out and say, is this going to be more like a weekly thing? Because I'm sure people that are local might actually want to partake in this if they know a certain schedule, right? So keep her name alive, weekly gathering in Charlotte continues for Shanquella Robinson. It says the 25-year-old Charlotte woman died while on vacation in Cabo, Mexico. It says for the third time in as many weeks, community activists will gather at the intersection of the 80s Ford Road and LaSalle Street to protest U.S. authorities' decision not to pursue criminal charges in the death of Shanquella Robinson. Robinson, a 25-year-old Charlotte native, died in October on a trip to Cabo, Mexico with 6 other people. The FBI and Mexican authorities opened investigations into her death after video footage showing her being beaten went viral. 2 weeks ago, the Department of Justice announced that the FBI investigation was complete and it did not find enough evidence to pursue federal criminal charges in her death. And it says at 4 p.m. Wednesday, community members organized by Mario Black, founder of Million Youth March, will gather at the intersection with signs calling for the extradition of a suspect to Mexico, as we all know her as, Desiree Manhan Jackson. The first time Black stood on the street corner, that's Mario Black, he did so with Robinson's family the day that the FBI and Department of Justice announced it would not pursue federal charges in her case. The second time, he was joined by just under a dozen community members. Now he hopes more will gather at the intersection to show solidarity with the family. He said, She was a part of our community and her life mattered, Black said. We all should be just as angry with this as we are when we have protests and when a white police officer kills a Black individual. Exactly. A lot of times there should be just the same amount of anger and being upset and like protest. Is just like if this is an unarmed, like for instance, Black male killed by the police, there still should be a certain amount of outrage, at least to that same extent. Okay. It says Black says he hopes to continue it weekly. So right here actually states his statement. Black says he hopes to continue it weekly. Join the fight to keep her name alive, Black said. I encourage everybody to use hashtag justice for Shanquella Robinson on social media. Let's keep it trending. Let's keep it going. Exactly. I 100% agree with that. An arrest warrant has been issued for one suspect in Mexico, but it remains unclear whether U.S. officials have received an official extradition request or plan to act on it. Yes, that's unclear. U.S. authorities have not named this person. However, Mexico has said they have submitted this, but as far as the news goes, they're saying they don't have 100% evidence of that because the DOJ has not really confirmed this information. It says U.S. authorities have not named this person. However, Mexico officials did name this person as per Sue Ann Robinson, who is Shanquella Robinson's attorney, and no relation, even though they have the same last name. Okay, it says Washington, D.C. for Shanquella Robinson. It says the Robinson family, their attorneys, and buses of charlatans will travel to D.C. on May 19th. The 200th day since Robinson's death. So May 19th. So I definitely need to get this out as well. Since Robinson's death to march and demand diplomatic intervention in her case. The time and location of the march will be announced closer to the event date, Black said. Those who wish to attend from Charlotte should email Black at mymox@yahoo.com. And he will get back to you. He's very interactive and sociable person. So yeah, he's a cool person. So yeah, so you just reach out to mymox@yahoo.com with their name and contact information. It says, okay, in March, Crump attorney Robinson and the Robinson family traveled to D.C. for a press conference where they called on the White House and the State Department to intervene in her case. It is not right that the suspects and the people involved are sleeping comfortably in their own beds at night, Crump said at the time. The only question is State Department, President Biden, what are you going to do to bring justice for this brokenhearted family, especially this mother of Shanquella Robinson? And I would also like to add in there, a lot of times Bernard Robinson is left out of this, and that's not to just stir anything, but he has actually made a statement of how he actually feels left out of things. So I would say broken-hearted family, especially for like the parents. I would add in this mother of Shanquella Robinson and of course the father. Okay, so that's just to make sure that we have this clarification and inclusion of both parents that lost a loved one. Okay. So let's go ahead and go into the next article. It's pretty much more of the same, but I just wanted to see if they actually have any pictures or not. Usually they have pictures of them standing outside. So let me check this article. Let me actually zoom out a little bit here. Okay, this article is from the Griot. It says protests continue demanding justice for Shanquella Robinson. It says community activists in Charlotte, North Carolina, continue demanding justice for Shanquella Robinson, the 25-year-old woman who died while on vacation with friends in San Jose del Cabo, Mexico. Demonstrators will gather on April 6th. They already gathered today, so it was already, I mean, not today, but yesterday. At the intersection of Beatis 4 and LaSalle Street for a third time in recent weeks. They are coming together to protest U.S. authorities' decision not to federally prosecute the person suspected of killing Robinson. As reported previously on the Griot, citing the Associated Press, Robinson's case gained mainstream media traction last fall. Okay, we already know this information. This is kind of like a regurgitation. Okay, let me see here. Okay, so that's pretty much the same information from the Charlotte Observer. So let's go ahead and go to the next article. But yeah, so I definitely will be promoting the upcoming event in Washington, D.C. for May 19th. Kind of like the ultimatum that was given to do something for Shanquella Robinson's case by the 200th day. Okay. So I definitely will be sending out an email for that because we definitely want a lot of people to attend that event. So let's see here. Okay, so again, I will be reaching out to see if there's going to be a weekly event or not, or if it's just something that he is thinking of doing. And if so, then I will make sure I try to send out this information that there will be a weekly event to meet out there. And even if you can't attend, if you're near that area, you can at least honk your horn, also to show solidarity. Shout out to L Brown again. Shout out to L Brown for the super sticker. Yeah, something. Yes, I appreciate it so much for supporting my channel. And he says hashtag justice for Shanquella Robinson. Yes, hashtag justice for Shanquella Robinson. Make sure you hashtag her on all social media platforms, all social media. That's Facebook, IG, on Twitter, even on here, YouTube. Just keep her name alive. So yes, thank you so much for supporting my channel. And everybody else, you can support the channel for free just by hitting the like button. Okay, one thing I want to get into in my title, moving right along, is that there's clarification for Shanquella Robinson's father, Mr. Bernard. And the clarification is this. Now, please don't take this as me coming at another YouTuber or creating beef or starting a beef or trying to call anyone out or anything like that. This is just a blanket statement that's to put out into the YouTube community, is that sometimes, of course, the family watches some videos. Okay, so at one point I don't really think he was really watching that many videos, but sometimes people might send him a link and then he might watch it. Now, I did not send him this particular video at all, but he did kind of like reach out about the video, and it kind of like can be upsetting sometimes when misinformation is spread or assumptions are made about your statement. And that usually happens a lot of times in cases. So what I will say is this: when he was at the graveyard and he was pretty much announcing that the headstone for Shanquella had finally arrived after weeks. It was been prolonged. It had been a delay and creation of it and delivery of her headstone. And so he pretty much was at the graveyard and talking to the news of just letting everyone know that he finally has her marker. And yeah, finally has a marker to put on her grave to know like exactly where she's at. That's like a key moment when you see like the person's name engraved and everything else, instead of just having ground there and nothing there. You finally have there a nameplate. Okay, so or a tombstone, headstone, whatever you want to call it. So the key thing is he did not state that he wanted street justice, or he would do some form of street justice or do anything, take matters to his own hands. He is a praying man, and he is mostly like through faith and through his belief, he allows God to handle the situation. And so he uses prayer. His message was not to say that he would take matters into his own hands as a form of street justice. So he doesn't want it out there that he's some father out there that's going to take things in his own hands and do some form of street justice. He's a praying, God-fearing man, and that's his method of dealing with this, is through prayer and through the church. And to be honest, a lot of times when people are going through something like this, they lean even heavier on God and they lean even heavier on prayer, because that's the only thing. I mean, if you're a religious person and you believe in Christ, during those troubling times, you definitely lean on God's everlasting arms, and you rely on prayer, and you just pray to God gives justice and things go according to how God has it planned. And also you focus on God's time. You don't focus on mankind, like you don't focus on man's time, like how man want things done and how the timing of man is like God. Things will happen on God's time. It will happen on God's time when God has a plan to happen and when it's on his time. So they lean on that. So his focus is more on like the Christian way of praying and leaning on God, relying on God, and just waiting on God's timing. I mean, as men, we can rush things and we want things to happen now and now. But then there's a thing in some faiths or Christianity, sometimes you were just relying on God. You say on God's time. And there's numerous songs about waiting on God's time. Okay, so that's just to clarify anything out there. He's not a man out here seeking street justice. He is a praying man and relying on his faith to get him through this. And he's hoping that his faith and God will bring his daughter justice, and he will get the answers, because since October of 29th, he has not gotten all the answers to what happened to his daughter. And that can be heartbreaking for anyone that since October 29th, still to this day, has not had complete answers to what happened in Cabo. And online, we try to all the time have panels and discussions and what all happened in Cabo. But imagine if this was your daughter, your sister, and you didn't have all the answers. That makes it even like harder to come to terms with, or it comes to grips with, or to grasp that you don't have all the answers to what happened to your loved one. And then when you actually have a forensic doctor look at her body and do an autopsy, and they do a full autopsy, and then they come back with the answer of undetermined. And then there's another blow, like you take another hit and another blow to, wow, I still don't have answers. And like even an expert, forensic expert, didn't come and give me an answer. So it's like all these twists and turns, and then there's no answers. And so when you don't have answers, sometimes you don't get closure. And you don't get closure, then that can cause issues. And then when you go online and then you use like search your name, or you see these videos, and then now people are spinning your words or putting misinformation out or misinterpreting what you said. And now you have another thing going on to where now you have to deal with social media and things like that. So to be honest, I don't really recommend anyone to ever go through this and then watch videos on them, because people are always going to give their opinion, their speculation, or guesses, or different things going on. And there are a lot of people that are with conspiracies, or just they might assume that you might actually feel a certain way. So I don't really recommend a lot of times watching videos that are made on you. And even as a YouTuber, I have that same experience where people misinterpret, and sometimes intentionally put out misinformation. So I definitely understand how he feels. And then sometimes you might want to make sure that's corrected. But even still, like even when it's corrected, there are still going to be another person that's going to still do this certain thing. Now, some people did not do this intentionally. So I'm just putting it out there, not as call someone out or anything else. I'm just putting it out. That's one thing he wanted to clear up, is that he's not out here seeking street justice. He's just seeking prayer. So if you want to help, just make sure you just seek prayer. Continue to keep her name alive and pray, send prayers. Okay, so that's that on that part. So that's the father's statement. Just to clear up that he's not seeking any form of street justice, and that's not what he implied or that he meant in his statement at the grave. And he pretty much said a lot of times that's why he doesn't really want to give statements, because it will get twisted or spun, and people get their own opinions or take on it, and it might be far from what he originally meant or said. Okay, so that's that. So I'm actually doing pretty good. I'm at 28 minutes and I've covered a lot of the topics. Yeah, I'm getting better at this, because sometimes I can talk too much. So yeah, I'm actually happy that y'all, like, it's 28 minutes in. I got 2 topics done, so there's only one left. There's Nazeer. Yes, I'm getting more efficient, child. All right, so let me say hey to some more people that came in late. Hey, Miss Ashton, I ain't seen you in a long time, girl. I hope you've been okay. I haven't seen you in a while, so I hope you've been okay. So welcome. I already scrolled up too far. Let me go back down. Shout out to Deidre for the super sticker. Shout out to Deidre for the super sticker. Yes, thank you so much for supporting my channel. I greatly do appreciate it. So again, shout out to Deidre for the super sticker. And everybody else, remember, you can support my channel for free just by hitting that like button. So thank you again to Deidre, and also to L Brown for supporting the channel through super sticker. Okay, let's see who else is in the building. Oh, Child, so I'm seeing a lot of people from my other channel over here. Miss Lisa. Lisa, good evening, everyone. Happy Thursday again. I made both live tonight. Yes, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm glad to see you over here as well. On this channel, KC is in the building, motivational advocate. Hello, hello, hello. Let's see. Cool kid, Rex mom, keep it coming, Danny. Okay, I already read that. So I'm already, I'm actually caught up a little bit. Let me go down. Okay, let's see. Miss Phyllis, good evening. Hey, girl. Hey. Katina, Ladam. Thank you for the great news. God bless, Danny. Yeah, so make sure you watch that other, my last live, and I actually post the email from FBI agent Shelly Lynch. She, to be honest, I'm actually surprised that she actually responds to my emails, and even when they released that statement, I was actually included in the press release, like with all the other news people. So yeah, I felt special, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. My head got a little big that day, but I'm happy because I actually do need to know the information because I have this petition with like 40,000 something people. So I definitely need the information so I can actually deliver it out, or I can't even think of the word I wanted to say, but yeah, y'all get the point. Hello, hello, hello. Sunshine, White Sox. Hey, hey, hey. Hello, everyone on the chat. And Danny, yes, White Sox, one of my day one people. I appreciate you, girl. Closed brain swelling can be a sign of. Okay, let's see. Manhattan. I have to finish your statement. I guess you have a new one. Manhattan Jackson fits perfectly for a monster. Exactly. Tanzan says justice will prevail. Yes, justice for Shanquella. Yep, I call it putting on my faces, Danny. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, Junior Woman. Jacqueline's in the building. Nana, Fabian Alexander. I hope I pronounced that right. Imani's in the building. Yes, hashtag justice for Shanquella. We have Erica. Erica is in the house. Okay, so let me say a few more shout outs and let me go ahead and get into Nazeer, Wiggins, Miss Jams. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to take the weekend off, and then on Monday we will come back, and then we will pretty much be doing panels and discussion and the autopsy and different things. I'm sure a lot of people, since I've been gone, have been discussing the autopsy and the whole topics. So I'm going to add some new things from Nazeer today to the conversation pieces. And yeah, so hey, Miss M. The brain swelling could be the result of a subdural hematoma, which could have happened when she was beaten in the head. Unaliving is not immediate. Yeah, I'm actually going to go over it because, like I said, at first I only wanted to have an expert go over it because I feel like that's a better person to give 100%. I wouldn't say 100% because nothing is always 100%, but more of an educated opinion and assessment of the autopsy. However, an analysis, should I say. However, since one does not want to really touch it, then I will start having panels myself and going over, because I know I haven't had a panel in a while and had these discussions, but I definitely will be a part of the discussions moving forward on that, now that I have no choice but to do it myself, because there's not an expert that wants to take on that. So if the expert doesn't want to take on it, then it's not going to stop me. I would just take it on myself. And yeah. But even before the last time, I had brought on a forensic medical expert. Now, to be honest, I probably could bring on that one, but he speaks Espanol, and no habla Espanol over here. I don't speak Spanish. So I would have to he would actually have to get the autopsy. I would have to translate the autopsy, send it to him, and then he could actually do it. But then so that's just a lot. I was hoping to find someone that already speaks English, You're doing your job 100%. Yes, unto yes. 3 of those are mine. Oh, yeah. Okay. Don't tell people that now, because don't tell people that y'all signed more than once, because then that can make it seem like it's invalid. They can say, well, you have 41,000 signatures, but some people sign more than once. So make sure you only sign only one time. because that way people won't say that it's invalid. Okay, so I understand, I appreciate it, y'all, but don't put it out there because people will automatically assume that it's not really that many people. They will just say, oh, people are signing more than once. Okay, so make sure that everyone only signs one time. All right, that's all you need to do. Once you sign one time, then just share the petition. Okay, hashtag justice for Shanquella. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, let's see here. Yes, everyone it's about teamwork, team effort. I can't do this by myself. Just like on the petition, there's 40,000 signatures. I mean 41,000. I didn't sign all those signatures, so there's a lot of people out there wanting justice and team effort, teamwork. Okay, so let's say, okay, so there's a lot of people here, so let me go ahead and get started on it. Nazeer, I didn't post all his messages before, and I'm going to post some more today just post some more information. Bless you for what you are doing. I already read that one. Hello, Danny. I'm always here, and hit the like button. I signed a petition earlier. This is my first time in the chat. Hashtag justice for Shanquella Robinson. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes, Hunter. Yes, I'm glad you came out of the bushes, and I hope you come out of the bushes more often. I don't bite. Well, sometimes I can bite, but I'm just good. I don't bite, so I'm glad you came out of the bushes. I have the storm. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I haven't seen you in a minute, but again, I haven't been on this channel, and a lot of people are over here from this channel. Well, some people follow me on both channels, so then they'll see me more often. Okay, greetings and salute, Danny, Miles, in chat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Gloria Sample, justice for Shanquella Robinson, prayers for the family. Yes, continued prayers for the family. Hey, Marie. Make sure y'all check out Marie's channel. She does, I think, like reality show reviews and commentary on different topics on YouTube, etc. So if you're interested in that, make sure you check out her channel. That's University with Marie. Yes, I'm sure it will. To be honest, the petition was at 39,000 signatures. Remember when I submitted it? I submitted it to the LPI. A lot of people and officials in Mexico and not Mexico, just U.S. officials. I didn't send it to Mexico. U.S. officials. It was right before they made that whole statement about. They made a statement about not having enough evidence. That was at 39,000 signatures, and since that time, it's not too long ago. We have gotten like 2,000 more signatures. So we're now at 41,000, right? So the next goal is, of course, 50,000. And at 50,000, I will resubmit the petition again. And let's see if it actually helps or get some kind of response or answer. I don't know. We will see. Yeah, thank you for the channel. Okay, so basically, let's go ahead and post one message from Nazeer because I want to make sure I stay on. This is only like an hour live, and what I'm gonna do is go ahead and enjoy I'm gonna start my weekend, child, because I've been going and going and going and going and going and going and going. So I'm gonna take some time out this weekend for myself, and then I will see y'all back on Monday. So let me go ahead and post some messages. Okay. Let's see what this one is. Hey Gwen, I definitely have to speak. And don't worry, if I don't speak to you, it's because it's just too many messages, and I can't. If I read all the messages, I'll be here all day long reading messages. So I'm not overlooking everybody. I just cannot read every comment or message. Okay, but I appreciate everyone, each and everybody. Okay. So I think I already read this one before. Oh, wait. Okay, so I said, when you said that Shanquella's, this is between me and Nazeer, okay? It says, when you said that Shanquella's eyes were open and she was trying to get words out, do you mean that she was trying to talk and form words? Or do you mean that she was making sounds from her throat like a death rattle? Like in this video, the doctor also said that she was making sounds. And then I pretty much posted a link. He wrote, she was making little moans and grunts, no word formulation at all. When I first arrived, she was unresponsive. As I said, I moved her to the living room so I can keep my eyes on her from outside as I viewed the property and made my videos, etc. And so that the doctor could have more room to work because the couch she was previously on You had to physically get on it because of the size, but no words. She finally opened her eyes around the time the doctor came, and that's when I thought she was moving in the right direction. Okay, so then it goes on to say, wait. Wait 1 second. Okay, and I put I pretty much said took because sometimes he it said, as I said, I love her to the living room. It's actually took, and I just corrected that. I said took her to the living room, right? So I just put asterisk around it, and I corrected his message. Took her to the living room, and I put a question mark. By yourself, or did they help? Did they leave you alone to take care of her by yourself? And he put only me that time. Shortly after I arrived, so I can keep an eye on her, unknowingly about any bodily injured internal, or she would not have been moved at all. But I'm not even sure what damage she had upon me doing so. So when she was in the game room, Nazeer moved her to the living room himself. And he said he moved her to the living room so the doctor would have more space to work on her. And it looks like he could also, by moving her to the living room, he can also like step outside and still be able to keep an eye on her at the same time from the living room area. He said something about the couch and how the couch in the game room was set up a certain way to where it wouldn't be convenient for a doctor. So he took her to the living room. Okay. So that answers people's questions about how did she get from the game room to the living room? He moved her by himself. Yeah. So yeah. And that goes to show that, to be like I said before, and I actually kind of figured this. I figured this before he even said it, that when he got there, he pretty much was in charge of Shanquella. Like he was the one like left to, I guess, like keep her eye on her or help her out or whatever. Right. So yeah, so that's what I was saying before. Like he as the one that moved. I already figured that when he said we made it to the living room, I figured that he's the one that picked her up by himself. Okay, so if y'all need me to read this over again, I'll actually read it over again. Okay, so let me I will read it again. Wait 1 second. Wait 1 second. I actually might try a different setup because StreamYard to me is not as efficient or even sufficient at all. Let's go back to the first message. As I said, I moved her to the living room so I can keep my eye on her from outside as I viewed the property and made my videos, etc. And so that the doctor could have more room to work because the couch she was previously on, you had to physically get on it because of the size. But no words. She finally opened her eyes around the time the doctor came. So close to the time the doctor came is when she opened her eyes. And he said that, but no words. She finally opened her eyes around the time the doctor came. And that's when I thought she was moving in the right direction. And let's see here. So what are your thoughts about this, right? Yeah, that was a few questions about how she got from the game room to the living room. And I'm sure that the others probably moved her from wherever else, probably from the room to that game room. So someone asked that. I think I don't want to use the name. I'm sure that other people moved her to the game room. Okay, let's see here. Took her to the living room by yourself, or did they help? Did they leave you alone to take care of her by yourself? So only me that time. He's talking about it says only me that time. Shortly after I arrived, so I can keep an eye on her. And others probably were. So basically, it looks like to me, other people were in the game room. At the same time, they were in the game room too. They were not like away from the game room when he got there. They were like in there too. But then after that, it seemed like he was by himself with Shanquella. Okay, it says only me that time shortly after I arrived, so I can keep an eye on her, unknowingly about any bodily injured internal, or she would not have been moved at all. So he's saying that he was unaware of any bodily injury or any. He didn't know about the brutal attack on her, or the whole brutal attack, or people say fight, even though it wasn't a fight because it was a brutal attack, because she did not fight back. So he was unaware of that incident, or he would not have moved her at all, because he was so alcohol poisoned that she fell in the bathroom, pretty much. And it says, but I'm not even sure what damage she had upon me doing so. So he's not even sure. He's basically saying once he moved her, he don't know how he could damage her. And to be honest, now with these autopsy results are different, like discrepancy in both autopsies. That could be like when it was atlas luxation, determined to be atlas luxation, that's one thing we can say, oh yeah, that's what caused the injury. Now I would have to go to the autopsy to see anything else, like any clarification of what other things, right? But anyways, it's different looking at this now compared to before the last discrepancy between the autopsies. But I'm not even sure what damage she had upon me doing so. So it looks like at one point he was moving her by himself, and that's from the game room to the living room. Okay, do I have any questions on this before I move to the next thing? Yeah, she was dressed in the same. It's the same. She had the same clothes on. When moving the game, she had the same clothes on. No, I don't have any pics of the game room. Hey, Food Chill. Hey. Okay, some questions I don't know the answer to. What the only thing I know the answer to is what I post. Okay, so let me go ahead and post some more receipts, and then after I post receipts, I will take some questions, and I'll even drop the link if someone wants to join the panel for a little bit. Okay, and then I'll be back on Monday for more discussion. Helen Henry says, wow, that's great. All those signatures, 41K. Keep doing what you're doing. Great job. Yes, Hunter. Yes. So I'm actually happy to see this. And like I said, 41,000, 41,056 signatures. Oh, I think that, let me see if I can drop the link. Oh, and look, people are already signing it. Yes, Hunter. Yes. Look, 41,070 signatures. So we got like some more signatures here, child. I love to see it. So we got like 14 more signatures. So let me actually drop the link in the chat. I'm sure my mom's probably posted it, but the easy way to remember is change.org /Shanquella. That's change.org /Shanquella, and that would take you straight to it. So yeah, he moved her from the game room to the living room by himself. And from the living room is where he can actually have her on the couch, and he can still take pictures outside or videos outside or whatever. And keep an eye on her at the same time. That's what he's saying. Woo. Hey, no more drama. I don't know who put clothes on her. And remember, Nazeer Wiggins got there on Saturday at 2:17 p.m. So more than likely, or most likely, she was already dressed before he got there in those same clothes. Because no one is really going to have someone out in the public, like in the living room or in the game room, naked. Okay. So when he got there, Shanquella already had these clothes on that you see in the, what you call it. Now, who put those clothes on her? I don't know. And would he probably know who put the clothes on her? He, not really. Unless they told him, he wouldn't know because he got there at 2:17 p.m. Saturday. And more than likely, she was already dressed because no one's going to really put someone in the living room or in the game room nude with no clothes on. So that tells me automatically that she had clothes on already. And yeah, and that somebody else already dressed her before he got there. Now, who did it? I don't know. And he probably won't know unless they told him, because how can you know what happened before you got there? So let's go ahead and go to the next message. So, of course, with this type of thing, you're always going to have questions, because you're going to have one question, the next question, this question, that question. And he doesn't answer all questions. And to be honest, I doubt he probably won't even answer any more questions, because, I mean, of all the stuff. Because I told y'all before, go watch my last video, I said that he probably won't be answering that many more questions, because it kind of like it's an open case, and it kind of can, like, once you start realizing that things can be put onto you, then it's best to kind of make your lips touch and get a lawyer, because at that point, you have Sue Ann Robinson, everybody, Ben Crump is out there, and then of course they are civil lawyers. They will obviously want to sue everybody involved. So at that point, most people will advise you, any legal representative or anybody will advise you to not speak. But what I can say is he does talk to the FBI, and he has said numerous times that he's in frequent contact with the FBI. So just because he isn't talking to us, it doesn't mean he's in talking to authorities. And I posted that screenshot already. So if you've already missed that video, then I suggest you probably watch a lot of my old videos. And I'll post these messages. I would just say look for the ones with Nazeer in the title, and there is a message from him saying that he is in frequent contact with the FBI, and he has said it more than once. It's twice in the messages that he has mentioned that he talks to the FBI. So he's not like out there not actually giving any answers. He's actually talking to the FBI whenever they have questions about what happened over there. Okay. Let's go ahead and move to the next screenshot. Okay, 1 second. And let me take this comment down for 1 second here. Okay, so let's go ahead and zoom in on this one. I probably need to take my banner down for a second. Okay, so okay, so this is me trying to, of course, get him to answer more questions. And of course, if you follow any of my channels, you know I word things a certain way. I say things a certain way so I can get certain questions answered. That's how you have to do as when you're investigating things or looking into things. You have to know what questions to ask and how to phrase the question, how to say something to get the answer, get someone to respond or answer, or to even trust you, right? Okay, so again, I said, what happened again? What happened again? I still say to completely separate yourself from them, because they are not your friends and they don't have your best interest in mind. They lied to you about what happened to Shanquella before you arrived, so they set you up to walk into a homicide. You will always be grouped with them until you completely separate yourself from them. One of them could have easily defended you on a number of things and debunked the lies, but they They have just watched you get dragged and take all the heat. Hashtag setup. So again, I wrote, what happened again? I said, what happened? Question mark. Again, I still say to completely separate yourself from them because they are not your friends and they don't have your best interest in mind. They lied to you about what happened to Shanquella before you arrived. So they set you up to walk into a homicide. You will always be grouped with them until you completely separate yourself from them. One of them could have easily defended you on a number of things and debunked the lies, but they have just watched you get dragged and take all the heat. And what I mean was, like, they all knew, like Dejanay knew that she signed Nazeer's name. And instead of her coming forward, and saying that I signed Nazeer's name, she watched him make a video, say, that's not, I didn't sign it, and get all this heat for people saying that he signed it, when she knew that she signed it. She could have came forward and said she signed it. And then on top of that, when they knew that he came on Saturday instead of Friday, and he was getting all this heat with the whole Gerald Jackson going back and forth saying, no, you did show up on Friday. You were there on Friday. They could have easily came out and defended him and said, no, Nazeer actually came on Saturday in late afternoon, like at 2:17 p.m. They could have defended him. So I'm saying, those are your real friends. They would have actually stood up for you and came out and defended you. And this is his response. That, in a sense, is true, but most are females who have kids and other things to worry about being a female. I was told from a party that they wanted to clear the air, but decided to stay silent due to how I was getting the heat. And then he wrote some more stuff, and I might release it later, I might not. But anywho's, it says that in a sense is true, but most are females who have kids and other things to worry about being a female. I was told from a party they wanted to clear the air, but decided to stay silent due to how I was getting the heat. So he's saying, but most are females who have kids. He didn't clarify which ones have kids, but we have kind of guessed, like, most probably have kids. And it says, and other things to worry about being a female. So he's saying that a lot of them are females and they probably are more scared about getting all this heat and like going out into the public and then getting all this heat and more. He's saying that there will be more worries for a female than a male with this before. Now, I do think that Nazeer in the past was shot. I think he was shot. And that's what happened to him before a long time ago. And Khalil was his roommate at the time. I don't know what happened with that incident at all, but I think that kind of maybe like made him a certain way to where he can see how someone could be like fearful of certain things. I don't know. But anywho, let's see here. That in a sense is true, but most are females who have kids and other things to worry about being a female. I was told from a party they wanted to clear the air, but decided to stay silent due to how I was getting the heat. So keyword here, he was told from a party. So they didn't tell him directly. So I don't know how much in communication he is with the others. But he said, I was told from a party, he didn't say the person's name, they wanted to clear the air, but decided to stay silent due to how I was getting the heat. Hold on 1 second. So some of the others probably wanted to come forward, but they were too scared and chicken to come forward because they didn't want all the heat coming on them and people coming after them. So they just let him take all the heat. Well, child. Okay, so I'm gonna have to get off of here soon. So I'm gonna actually post like probably 2 more things, and I will see y'all on Monday. I need to yeah. So I'm gonna post 2 more things. Hold on. Well, yeah, to be honest, hashtag justice for Shanquella. Everybody else has been letting that heat out, y'all. I mean, he has been getting a lot of heat. And I wish some people would actually get a lot of heat in Mexico, get extradited. Start with Dejanay Manhan Jackson, extradite her back to Mexico. Child, of course she's too scared to come forward. She wants to be a bully. She wants to bully Shanquella, but then she's too scared to come out here and get the heat and the smoke from the community that's upset about what she did in Cabo. Right. Okay, 1 second. Let me pull up the next screenshot. But yeah, my advice, of course, is to completely separate yourself. And to be honest, just be team hashtag justice for Shanquella. Do everything you can for justice for Shanquella. That's my advice to Nazeer is choose a side. That's hashtag justice for Shanquella, and whatever you can do to help get justice for Shanquella. And that's it. Yes, he is speaking to the FBI, and that's great. That means that he's open to answer any questions they may have. So however, yeah, just like there's a such thing as turning state's witness or just becoming like for the other side. And there's a lot of people sometimes it's on one side of things and then they become like a state's witness or they become like they support the other side more fully and then they actually get some leniency because people get off their neck and everything else because they see that that person is for the other side 100%. If there, as long as there feels like there is like an in-between thing there where you're not 100% one way or the other, then people are going to question where you stand. And anytime people question where you stand, then there's going to be backlash. And at that point, there's nothing that you can do about it because no one really is going to care if they feel like you're not 100% on one side, and that's on the right side, which is hashtag justice for Shanquella. Okay, so let's go ahead and he said they did not tell anything because the focus was on her health. They all already knew, of course. They didn't expect or think she would pass from whatever happened, so it was not a priority to tell me until she did pass. And even then, I didn't know until the video was released to the world. You'll hear more details and the right ones sooner or later. So he's pretty much saying that they didn't tell him initially because they probably was just too focused on getting her better and getting her help instead of telling him what happened. So then he didn't know until the video was released to the world. So pretty much he's really just not really considered them like 100% like, to be honest, if you get there and they're not telling you the truth, they have plenty of time to tell you the truth. Like you're being naive and not really, because you're really trying to think these people are your friends. But the reality is they have plenty of time to tell him what happened. It only takes a few seconds to tell him like, hey, instead of saying she alcohol poisoning and fall and everything else, they could have easily said the truth. Let's be honest here. Okay. So yeah, that's kind of him like making excuses for them why they didn't try to tell him until late. But then later on, he actually started telling more stuff. So then I guess he probably came to the realization that yeah, this doesn't seem right. So I thought this is actually an earlier message before the other one. Because this is at a time when he's still like going back and forth. And then later on, he does say that when he came, they actually they did seem to be like a little acting a little weird or different towards him, but he thought it was because they was going to be missing the ATVs. So I guess to me, it's kind of like if you have friends since college and you really don't see why they would try to keep something from you or set you up or anything. So you try to say, well, they didn't tell me because they didn't have time to tell me because too much was going on. Nah. They have plenty of time to tell you. But if you want to be naive and believe that they didn't just have enough time to tell you, and even when they come back to the United States, when they came back to the United States before the video was released, they could have told you about it, but they didn't. So obviously, that's something you, if you actually want to believe that those people are your friends, child. So that's what that was all about. I actually probably should screenshot the message I wrote because I was pretty much trying to say, look, those are not your real friends. They're watching you get all the heat. they didn't tell you about what happened. He's pretty much said, yeah, they didn't tell me what happened because they didn't really have time to tell me what happened because they had to try to get Shanquella help and I'm like, nah, they have plenty of time to tell you what happened. And that's actually an old lie who said, oh, I was going to tell you, but I didn't know when to tell you. I didn't know how to tell you, or I didn't know when was a good time. Nah, it was plenty of time. Like when he called or when he was for directions to the Airbnb, the villa, they could have told him then. They could have told him when he first arrived. There was plenty of time to tell him when they came back to the United States. There's plenty of opportunity. But yeah, right here he says, I didn't know until the video was released to the world about what the brutal attack. So he's pretty much saying that he was told alcohol poisoning in the fall, and then he didn't know about the video until it was released to the world. And at the time in the video, at the time in the messages, he's still like saying that they didn't tell him for certain reasons because they didn't have time, or they were focused on Shanquella getting help, and they didn't really, it wasn't time enough to tell him. He was there for less than an hour before the doctor came, and that an hour is plenty of time to tell him what happened. Let's be clear, right? Just like they had plenty of time to get help way before he got there. Exactly. Okay, so let's go ahead and read the last one. And yeah, and I will drop the link for anyone that wants to discuss only the messages, only the messages. I'm not going to discuss the autopsy today. The autopsy will be discussed on Monday. So if someone wants to come up and discuss the messages I posted, then they can discuss the messages. But as far as anything else, I don't have time today to discuss anything else. I've already had another live. You see, that's the thing. Nazeer is still making excuses for why they didn't tell him certain things or do this and certain things. However, that's at okay. Let me clarify this. This is kind of like earlier on in the messages. As the messages went through and I started telling him more things, I guess I got through to him a little bit because he started saying things about doing, like releasing his own interviews and statements about this whole thing to tell his side. So things change and progress through the messages. Right. So it's kind of like at first I was telling him certain things. He probably was like, kind of like, maybe not. They're like my friends, but they just making excuses for his friends. And then later on, he stopped making excuses a little bit and started being more open about certain things. So, like I said, some messages are the end. I'll see if I post them or not, but some of the ending messages are different because he's actually talking about coming out and telling his side of the story and how things went. Right. Like, because he, like right now it's like an open case, so you can kind of mess yourself up, like speaking or saying certain things, because to be honest, if you go to any lawyer, they will advise you not to speak to anybody until the case is closed. Okay, so there's a link if you want to come up and say anything about the messages. I'm going to post, like, I think there's one more messages. Hold on. One more message for today, at least. Hold on. Where is it? Okay, so this is the last message for today. Okay, make sure y'all hit the like button to get this video into the algorithm. Hit that like button and get this video to the algorithm. That's a free way to support my channel. That's a free way to support my channel so more people will be able to get this information out, okay, about what's going on, and also to spread the word of petition and everything else, and the weekly marches, everything else. We need to definitely that's a free way to support my channel, is to hit that like button. Okay, so so basically I was saying that he made excuses for them not telling him certain things or how they were acting and things like that. He put, not excuses, I'm being a realist. That's me in anything. I move on principle and believe everything that I see and none of what I hear without any concrete proof. No excuses, no nothing. I'm just not pointing fingers, because from the video, it does tell enough. She was sitting up at the conclusion of the video. I don't know if he meant does not tell enough or does tell enough, because sometimes he doesn't finish off sentences or correct things. It says, I'm puzzled on how she found, she was sitting up at the conclusion of the video, and that is a lot of things people said too, is that since she was kind of sitting up at the conclusion of the video, it doesn't really show that she died at the end of the video, of course, or anything like that. So what kind of, that can be kind of questioning. It says, wait, so it says, I'm puzzled. He said, I'm puzzled on how she found by the maid, etc., etc. It's still shit. I don't know how it happened. So he says, I'm puzzled on how she found by the maid, etc., etc. It's still shit. I don't know how it happened. Only what was set in stone on the trios by times and where was supposed to happen event wise, having fun on vacation. Okay, only what was set in stone on the trip by the times and where. So I guess he's the only thing that he know really what was set in stone about what they were supposed to be doing on the trip and things like that, event wise on the vacation. So he doesn't really know much of other things. And he said, I'm puzzled on how she was found by the maid, etc., etc. So some things he actually is puzzled about, questions he's curious about, I don't understand completely either. He pretty much says he's not making any excuses for them. He doesn't want to point fingers or anything because he really doesn't have, without any concrete proof or evidence of what's all going on. Okay, and it says, I'm sure this is he talking about the FBI. He says, I'm sure they have the video in the original time when the fight happened by now. I don't even know that information, but I do know by who and why the video was made. He said, but I do know by who and why the video was made. It definitely wasn't sent to our college. They have that wrong. I can't wait to finally do an interview and cease all the questions. But again, it's details I leave out attached to people's names for legal reasons. So he says, I'm sure they have the video and the original time when the fight happened by now. I don't even know that information. He's talking about the FBI. But I do know by who and why the video was made. So I guess the word is getting out, or he do know like by who and why the video was made. And then there was some kind of rumor going around about something about our college. I did see that before. He said it definitely was not sent to our college. They have that wrong. I can't wait to finally do an interview and cease all the questions. But again, it's details I leave out attached to people's names for legal reasons. So a lot of things he doesn't want to say or mention anymore because of legal reasons. And to be honest, by the time I start saying certain things, but wait on. Okay, God Take 5 says, if Nazeer was unaware of the video, wasn't aware of the video, how can he conclude it was the end of the video? Remember, these messages to me are after. These messages to me are after the fact. They're not before the fact. Okay, so y'all need to make sure that these messages are sent to me now in like April. These are in April or March. These messages are not from everyone knows about the video now. So can you clarify, God Take 5? He's talking about now looking back because these are new messages. These are not old messages. These are messages to me, recent messages. So everyone knows about the video now because the video was released like November 15th, around November 15th, 2022. So when he's writing me in April, these are things he's talking about now. And that's a lot of times people get confused. When he's talking, sometimes they think that, oh, well, he's saying this because he knew this at that time. However, he's saying things, he's talking in two ways. He's talking one, like retrospectively, and then another way he's talking is kind of like ways that, like, it's kind of like when someone's talking about something after they know something. So now he knows about the video. Yeah, looking back. So right now, there are some people that look back and then when they're talking, and then there are some people that talk about things they know now. So anybody that's talking right now about the video will actually know about the video because they actually seen it. Everybody has seen it. Now, if he started talking about something beforehand, like before he arrived, that's different, or something that we don't know, all know, then that's different. So can you clarify your statement? I may be misunderstanding your question, but I want everyone to know these are not old messages; these are new. Since these are new messages, that means that he right now in April he already knows about the video and how the video ends, because we all know about the video and how the video ends because that has been put out since November. Okay, let me read some more questions. Yeah, well now, especially being they got him in a wig there. Woo, child. Ladam, hey.
Hi, how are you? How's the chat? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, yes. Cause so I don't know if you've already went over this, but why was Nazeer the only person helping the doctor? Where were they? The other people? Do you know?
Exactly. That's what I put. That's what I stated before. Is that
Yeah.
it's weird that he's the only one helping her, and that's why I said to me it was kind of to be a setup to where he will be the last one with her before help arrive, and that's my
Mhm.
opinion. Because
Yeah,
why else
that's
would
what.
they just have him there as helping the doctor and him there like moving her from the game room to the living room, like him being there for less than an hour, being there to be the one helping out with everything or the one responsible for Shanquella. When especially Khalil is the one that's supposed to be her best friend for like right, and then some of the others are have more expertise or at least more know-how or knowledge of CPR. So why wouldn't they actually be the one assisting, right? So that's why I said that it's odd for him to get there and automatically be responsible for Shanquella.
Very, very odd. I agree with you right there, because like the incident happened around 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, and the maid found her at 12:30, something like that. So she definitely wasn't inebriated in the morning. She slept it off the night before. So you mean to tell me she sat there after the incident and just drank and drank until, alcohol poisoning? The whole thing makes no sense. It does. It was only what, 3.5 hours, 4 hours. In 4 hours, she was so drunk she poisoned herself with alcohol. That doesn't make any sense. But I feel sorry for Nazir because they set him up bad. They set him up really bad. I feel sorry for him.
To me,
And
I think alcohol is kind of being out the table.
yeah,
That that's not, it has nothing to do with alcohol poisoning at all.
but isn't the medical examiner said it's inconclusive, saying that she could have hit her head in something in the bathroom. Okay, and that's just like assuming maybe she was inebriated, not just a slip and fall. I mean, right? I mean, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'm going to save anything related to the autopsy for Monday because, like I said, I have not went over it fully yet,
Oh,
and
I did. Yeah, you did. You did. You did.
yes, I'm
I'm
gonna hold
sorry.
off on that on Monday because at that point I'll be more caught up. I'm just relating to his messages for today because my goal was to actually get a medical examiner to go over it, and I wasn't going over it myself. But now that I have to go over it myself, I want more time to actually review it so that way I can actually have a good discussion and debate over that. At this point in time, I can't really give that.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Okay. Well, good night. Thank you for answering my call.
Yeah, thank you for coming up. And I definitely would say to come back on the panel on Monday because at that point I will be able to go back and forth with you or communicate or discuss that in more detail of your points.
Okay. Good night, all. Good night, Danny.
Good night. And thanks for coming up. Okay, so yeah, today I'm actually just going to go over the messages and not the autopsy. Okay, if for the autopsy, I would say to wait until Monday, and for panel. Okay, if you have any questions or you want to discuss anything in the messages as relates to Nazeer or anything today I discussed today, then we can discuss it today. So Gotta Take 5 has clarified. I meant that if he's stating he's a realist, how is it possible to conclude the video ended with Shanquella setting up? I will say this is because once the video is released to the world and he states that that's when he saw it along with the rest of the world, he only saw the same video we saw, which is the one of her sitting up. And as of this moment in time, no one has actually not even Sue Ann Robinson has actually stated that there's another video of Shanquella. I mean, if she had evidence of it in her files from Mexico, she hasn't released it or stated there's another video. Even in a press conference in Washington, D.C., Washington, they actually stated that they still keep referencing Ben Crump and Sue Ann Robinson, the family, all keep referencing the same video. So they don't even know a knowledge of another video. So Nazeer isn't aware of any other video, and besides the one that everyone has saw, right? So the messages you're seeing from Nazeer that I'm posting today is from April and March of 2023. However, the video that we all see of her ending, the video ending still sitting up, is the one that everyone saw, including him. So if he saw that video November 15th or 16th with the rest of the world, he can now say in April and messages to me that Shanquella, the video ended with Shanquella sitting up, because that's the only video everyone has saw or seen or mentioned or stated. Okay, so I don't know if that answers your questions. If not, you can re-clarify. But I don't think anyone out there has seen any other video. So he's pretty much saying the only video he has saw the same one we saw, and that video does conclude with her sitting up. Now we all guessed and speculate and hope that there's additional videos, but at this point in time, nobody has mentioned it. Remember, like even Sue Ann Robinson, I guess she's supposed to have like a bunch of pages of documents from Mexico of evidence, and she still keeps referencing the same video. So even in those documents from Mexico, she doesn't even have another video. Now, is it a possibility that the FBI has a video, another portion or something? Maybe, but they haven't released it, and Nazeer hasn't seen it. Nobody has seen it. Any additional videos. The FBI is not going to show anybody anything that they've uncovered during any discovery or any investigation at this point. I do know that Sue Ann and Ben Crump have not seen any of the videos because they have not mentioned it, at least. That's something they definitely would mention if there was additional video. So in that regard, Nazeer most likely has not seen any video besides the one we saw online that was released of her sitting up at the end of the video. So I don't know if that clarified the question or not. Okay, does anyone have any other questions? At this time, I doubt Nazeer answer any other questions besides what he has already answered. And the reason I say that is because my line of questioning and things I've asked of him kind of leads him to believe that it's possibly things that now he could be in trouble for, or he can be accused of, or things that he can be found negligent of. So these types of questions asking could make someone close up, because they're like, oh my gosh, I actually could get in some kind of lawsuit or some kind of trouble. So it's best to actually not speak on certain things, right? That's my point, Danny. Only if a trial occurs will more evidence or discovery be presented. Yeah, but I mean, this is Nazeer we're talking about, and with Nazeer, he's talking about just the video that we saw is all that he knows about, and from there, he's saying that at the end of that video, she's sitting up. So in that regard, I will only go by like what he saw and what he's knowledgeable of and what his level of thinking is at. Like for you, you're thinking outside of just that. However, he's thinking only based on what is known. He's not gonna think about trial or discovery or anything like that. He's only gonna think about the video I saw and everybody saw that Lisa the Royal has her sitting up. For him to say that about Shanquella sitting up says to me he believes what the so-called friend said. To me, actually, if you actually follow his statement as well, he actually says that he has questions about how the maid found her. To me, he's having questions about the whole thing as a whole. He's having questions about Quilla and how she's sitting up, but then when he gets there, she's actually unresponsive and things like that. And he's also questioning like how the maid found her. So he's actually questioning everything that's going on. So if you actually look back at it again, you'll see that he's questioning certain things. He says, I'm puzzled by how she found by the maid. And they put et cetera, et cetera. Et cetera, et cetera means that someone's thinking that there's things they're puzzled by. And it's that it's still shit. I don't know how it happened. Only what was set in stone on the trip by the times and dates of what were supposed to be happening, the events. So to be honest, if you actually read the latter part, the latter sentences, you'll see that he's actually puzzled and he has a lot of questions himself about everything. He only knows about what was supposed to be planned on the trip, like the ATV and different things that were planned that was set in stone. He doesn't know all the details. And then he also, so I would just say go line by line and see what someone is saying. Okay, so Shell, welcome. So I'm going to drop the link again if anyone wants to come up and discuss the messages. Wait 1 second. Okay, Shell says, I watched the old live of the NC journalist. He said the video went to Connecticut first to Malik's friends. I don't know. But I do know that Nazeer is waiting for this whole thing to be like a closed case or to be resolved so then he can speak freely and without he doesn't want to bring up other people's names. It's kind of like if you know, it's kind of like when you and others are involved in something or you are a part of something or you are all being investigated, it's an open case. Let's be honest here. We on this end, and we want justice for Shanquella, and we all want answers. We're curious about all the details of the case. We all want someone to come out and say everything they know and everything that happened, everything like this or that. But in reality, you know good and well, we have to be honest with ourselves and base our whole thing on reality. The reality is, if the shoe was on the other foot, and in real life, if you know anything, if there's an open case, you're not supposed to speak. You're not supposed to speak without any legal representation or anything that when you're involved in an open case and you're listed as a suspect in the case, you're not supposed to speak. Or if you speak, it's to the FBI only or the police. You don't actually speak to the public. You don't give interviews. You don't answer questions. You don't do anything. You're supposed to be tight-lipped, and people will actually anybody that's anything that has any knowledge of any criminal justice, legal or anything else, they will advise you to not speak or say anything at all. So Nazeer, to be honest, had went kind of way beyond what anybody would advise him of being for an open case. I'm telling y'all, as any lawyer out there, they would tell you that they advise all their clients or they advise anyone in this type of situation to not give any interviews, to not speak, not to answer questions, not to do anything at all, because anything you do or say can be used against you in a court of law. And that's why it's part of Miranda rights. So for him to even answer any questions at all, especially even say that he moved her body, think about this. For him to say that he moved her body from the game room to the living room, you know how much that could open him up. That automatically opens him up to someone saying, well, you moved her body cause this or cause that or cause this or that. So that automatically is something that someone will say, don't. But he did say that once he can speak freely, he wants to actually say everything. So he wants to actually do it, but he feels like he can't speak freely right now because it's an open case. And like even in Mexico, trust me, if you call anyone in Mexico, listen to all my other videos. If you call anyone in Mexico right now on this case, from the concierge to everybody, they will not tell you anything. Trust me. Guess who I know? I know the number to the concierge that was interviewed. That concierge is not speaking or saying one thing. That concierge would know some information, right? But why isn't that person speaking? Like nobody really is going to speak because it's an open case. And like even when the case is closed, I was like, well, you know, the case is closed, and the concierge really doesn't want to speak, even though the case is closed. Like, I mean, not case is closed. Let me clarify. Whew. When the message came out from the FBI that there was insufficient evidence, people still were not wanting to speak, even though they said insufficient evidence. So let me make sure. I don't want to put it out. See, that's why I said I was gonna stay on here for like an hour instead. Let me actually show this message because I don't want people to come away saying this case is closed. I'm talking about insufficient evidence when that was put out. As soon as it was put out by insufficient evidence, I said, well, now people are free to speak freely because they said insufficient evidence. I thought they were closing the case. That's not the case. The case is still open. But at the time, I assumed that it was going to be closed. But then I reached out for clarification, and the case is open. So let me actually reconfirm this. To me, from Shelley Lynch, the LPI spokesperson, she says, hey, it remains open. You can submit a FOIA anytime it gets processed after it's closed. So she said it is open. The case is still open. Okay, so just a clarification on that. I was just talking too fast, and I meant that at the time the FBI released a statement saying there was insufficient evidence. I reached out to the concierge and I was like, well, they said it's insufficient evidence now. So I was thinking that they could be freely speaking or just tell everything, because even now, usually when the case is like that, they close it out. And then at that point, you can request information. So everyone should be free to speak. However, even by free to speak, I mean witnesses like the concierge and other people like the maid and things like that. But the concierge didn't want to speak. Now, the reason I say I know the concierge is because he's the only one that matches the bio or the description of that. And what do y'all think about that? Because to be honest, that is some info that if I say who it is, that's a lot of information that can be put out here, but I haven't said anything about who it is. But in my opinion, at this moment, to be honest, I don't really see a harm in telling who the concierge is because they already gave their police statement, and yeah, I don't really see the harm. Welcome, Shell.
Salute, Daddy, and Avengers. The one thing I wanted to say about, well, I came originally, just to talk, but since you put this on the screen, right, about the about Shelley Lynch, she says the case is open, but, and I don't want to be quoted necessarily, so I'm just going to paraphrase what I heard that I believe I heard from Sue Ann. I'll say that allegedly. That she said that if her team brings new evidence or somebody brings new evidence, they'll investigate, but not as if they're not, like the FBI isn't doing any further investigation. It's like as if somebody brings them something. Did you see that interview?
Is that a recent one?
Yeah, it's recent. I'll try to it was I gotta remember which one she was on. But pretty much I think it was she was on with Tamika and My Son. And that's when she said that.
Here's the thing about being open and versus closed. Open is like they're still willing to accept evidence and look into things. They might, at this point, I believe that they said they didn't have insufficient evidence, right? They stated they had insufficient evidence. So at that point, they still are collecting evidence, are obtaining any evidence that anyone has, and it's still open. They have not shut it. So either way it goes, whether Sue-Ann, what you're saying that they more evidence, it doesn't matter who the evidence comes from or how they get the evidence, it's still going to be open. So Sue-Ann has it as well. They have to bring evidence to the FBI, but it could be anyone that brings evidence to the FBI or any source of information, or even from Mexico or anyone else can get this information and give it to the FBI. They probably have reached a point where they feel like they have obtained all the evidence they can get. However, at any point in any investigation, if there's a lead to something, then you'll follow that lead and get that information. You see what I'm saying?
Right, I do, but in that particular situation, then why are they saying like it why not close it? Is it that they don't want people to, like that, like how you wrote to her and said that you wanted to get the transcripts of everything, or I forget how you put it, but honestly, like that could be for any case, or we'll investigate it if it comes over, if something comes to us. But it's like, to me, it's like there's this.
No, I don't think that's the case where they are saying that. I just think that at the moment they said it's insufficient evidence, but they're still trying to seek. I think that's, to be honest, I think they just wanted to put something out there to satisfy people that they're but I feel like they already know that something is amiss and something happened over there, and they don't want to shut it until they make 100%. They make sure 100% that they won't be able to get all the evidence in order to nail this case. The FBI's job is to like investigate this whole thing and gather the evidence, and then the DA, the attorneys have to decide whether the evidence submitted by the FBI is sufficient enough for them to actually win a federal case against the suspects. And they feel like it's not enough, and the FBI has to, at that point, they have to gather more evidence and then resubmit to the DA. So that actually is something typical, to be honest. That happens a lot of times. The DA or the attorneys prosecuting will say it's insufficient, and then the police or the FBI, whoever is actually gathers evidence, they just have to go back out, and they have to go back and then come back another point to do it. So it's not unheard of for a U.S. attorney or a DA or someone to say there's insufficient evidence to charge a suspect, and then the police to get more evidence or something else, and then to come back and then present this evidence again. So remember, there's two different things going on here. There's the Department of Justice with the U.S. attorneys like Dina King, and then there's the FBI. Okay, so the FBI needs to now, which is Shelley Lynch, and she's the spokesperson of it. They need to actually get more evidence and then represent this evidence to the DA, and then the DA will decide at that point do they now have sufficient evidence to prosecute this case. So that's what I think is happening right now, and that usually happens more often than not.
Right. So do you think that the family has a private investigator?
I don't know what the family has, but as we've witnessed and recently, that there is kind of like a split there, and it's not like on the same page as far as Mr. Bernard Robinson and her mother, Salamander. So I hope they can all get on the same page for justice for Shanquella, but I'm not really going to touch on to that much. But I'm just saying, I don't really know if they have. I don't really think the family wants to do that many interviews. I put too many things out there because of certain things that happen, but I don't know they have one, and I have not heard of anyone having anyone, should I say.
Oh, okay.
I really don't see how a private investigator will actually help in this way, unless they had a private investigator in Mexico. But even then, the real source of information is actually from the Cabo travel mates will have the most source of information, right?
Right. That's true.
So, I mean, if they're not speaking or talking, then what information can they actually obtain? Unless they talk about the maid, I'm sure the maid and concierge, at least the one concierge has already given a statement, full statement, went a lot of pages, and then the maid, I'm sure she has given her statement, and then I think Sue Ann has spoke to that paramedic, and she gave her statement, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, what would the private investigator actually do? If anything, it needs to be the Cabo that will actually needs to be cracked. And what I mean by that crack, they need to actually have one of at least the people that were already Nazeer got there Saturday at 2:17 p.m. We need somebody the Cabo 5 to actually come forward and tell what they know, 100% what they know, and maybe offer some sort of I don't know, leniency a little bit slightly on whoever comes forward. I don't know how much pressure was applied, to be honest, doing any interrogations or questioning to put pressure on them to answer certain questions or get what's to be honest, I would love to see the complete file, because at that point we can see what they're working with and what they have and what they don't have, what statements were made and what statements were not made. But at this point, I think we're left in the dark on this, you know?
Yeah, I do. I do. I just I keep wondering like what I mean, hopefully something will, come about, but I'm thinking it's got to be something that, somebody or something to in order to turn this into another direction, you know, um, where they do actively, do something further. Because I'm thinking like if they interviewed the Cabo Six, I'm hoping that they did, but she also said that they stated that they in they investigated, they got statements from members of the Cabo Six, but then they wouldn't tell them who said anything. They didn't specify you know who it was and what they said necessarily. Like they stood there in the dark. And I'm like, is that how things normally work?
How
And
can that be? But remember, and Sue Ann Robinson had an interview with someone. She actually said, what was it? I think that she actually said on this panel that she actually sent a statement from Khalil. Each statement will actually have who actually wrote the statement. I mean, she says she sent one from Khalil Cook, right? So
right,
I don't see how a statement would not have who wrote the statement.
yeah, I was assuming that statement would have, even though it's a huge assumption, but since she hasn't seen what the FBI had, I'm assuming that's what Khalil said when he was in Mexico. I think that's a fair assumption, although it is an assumption, because if FBI hasn't given them anything, what statement would he have? Would she have?
And that's the thing. We only have from Gerardo Zuniga. From Gerardo Zuniga, we had the unofficial police report. We don't know what all Mexico has, because remember, at one point they actually stated that there was a collaboration between United States and Mexico. So I'm sure the United States were sending over. Remember, Daniel De La Rosa Naya said he asked the U.S. to get statements from the Cabo Six, and then I'm sure that they were collaborating, and then they were sending evidence back and forth. So I'm sure that Mexico has to have some statements from the United States or evidence from the United States, and vice versa, because that's what they're supposed to do. They had a collaboration. Daniel De La Rosa Naya mentioned it during Gerardo Zuniga's interview.
Yeah, that's true too. I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that. So, I don't know. I'm praying that that more gets done once it gets to Washington D.C. And the march occurs. Like I'm thinking, I'm praying that takes makes a significant change of events.
I think significant change will actually come into play if there's actually more evidence put out here, and the evidence needs to be strong, and it needs to be. See, that's the whole thing too. As long as everyone is silent and is told to be silent, the people in Mexico a lot of times were told by even like the concierge, he was told by CaboVillas.com, because they don't want to be sued, to remain quiet, right? And then the doctor obviously wants to remain quiet and go about her life. She doesn't want to be sued or be held responsible and sued. And also with that becomes American Medical Center, where she was last employed. And she was employed at the time of Shanquella's homicide. They don't want to be sued. So then obviously they would want this to go away. And so to be honest, like, where the evidence actually come from, then Nazeer got there late. So to be honest, Nazeer is probably why the FBI has been in frequent contact. He mentioned frequent contact with him because he actually is someone that was least there, but since he got there late, that he's not really that useful to them in that regard. He's useful as far as some things go, as far as when he arrived, like at 2:70 p.m. and after that point of what was done or said, but he's not that useful. The main useful people are the people that were there during a brutal attack and before the maid actually came on the scene. And then the maid will have some information, but I mean, until, like, to be honest, one of the Cabo Five have to actually give some information. And usually what you hope in this scenario or situation is that there will be other evidence, like cameras, but they said that for Cabo Villas that they try to keep cameras out of the villas because they want guests to have privacy, even in the pool area. And they try to only face it towards the street area. And then, so there won't be any cameras pretty much in the villa. And so then we will rely on electronic evidence, and we will hope that there will be text messages that will incriminate people, or videos and things like that. And we would just hope for a lot. And that's what we were pretty much hoping for. But it looks like that they're saying insufficient evidence. And also remember, the autopsy is like the biggest piece of evidence of anyone's death and what happened to them. Your body, once it's fully examined, will like speak from the grave. And what's happened now is that the manner of death was undetermined. So now it's kind of like, if it was violence, then that will actually put a nail in the coffin if they actually established it as homicide. But since they put undetermined, then that left for the FBI nothing really to do. I mean, once the FBI submitted that to the U.S. attorney as undetermined cause of death, how can they actually pursue a homicide case with the autopsy that says that? And then one that says something different in Mexico, but the one in Mexico wasn't a full autopsy, it was a partial autopsy. And so they can't really use that. They need a full autopsy. And now the body, to be honest, has to be exhumed and redone, and it's already been embalmed. So it still won't change the skeleton. It's just a lot to this, to be honest. And the whole thing and the injustice of this all started from day one, and when Mexico dropped the ball and did not treat this as a possible homicide from the very first day, and the collection of evidence and then holding with making sure they did not actually leave Mexico until they actually completed some part of this investigation. So yeah, it's just too much, to be honest.
Yeah, and since you spoke about that reminded me about the Mexican autopsy, and I've watched the interview from that the dad gave a couple times now, and one thing that I got from the last time I watched it versus the first time I watched it is that when the dad says that that as far as like the breaks in the the spine or the neck and the break in the neck and then the spinal cord injury. I can't remember if he said injury or break, whichever the two. But he said he said, I don't know where that's coming from, because that's not when the autopsy I received, which is, speaking of him, he said the autopsy I received didn't say that. So I'm wondering, was he referencing the death certificate versus the autopsy, or did the autopsy originally come out from Mexico saying something else and he went back and changed it? Because he specifically said autopsy. He didn't say death certificate.
I personally think that there has been things that have been lost in translation from the Mexican side of things, and once it has been translated to English, that especially that death certificate. So the death certificate to me was definitely, even though it's an Atlas luxation, and that 15-minute thing started a whole controversy right there, just because of, like, people expected her just to die within 15 minutes. I already knew that was estimated period of time. And as far as the autopsy goes, even that, I doubt the original autopsy was done in English. I bet it was like Espanol, done in Spanish, and from there it had to be translated to English. And everyone knows, like, when you translate anything, that it can be lost in translations. One word can be actually changed to something completely different, and it can take on a whole different meaning just because it was translated wrong. That happens a lot, especially with pronouns, but it can also help with other things, medical terminology. So to be honest, for that, I would actually want to see like the original autopsy from Mexico and in Espanol without any translation to it. That way I can make sure there's nothing was lost in translation.
Yeah, I think that would be good too. Yeah,
Yeah.
to get it in Spanish and then, get it properly interpreted to see what actually did they say originally. But I did notice that the last time I watched, him when he was at the gravesite, that he said that that's not what the autopsy that he received said. So I wondered again, I was like, did they change it? Like, and the reason why I said that, this is what I was thinking. Did, like, take for instance, sometimes in the medical field, if like one doctor sees something and the other doctor sees something else, and then they'll conference, whether it's, by phone or, you know, uh however they conference, it could be like a video chat or whatever, but did they come together, review it, and then he changed it based on when he spoke with the, the FBI doctor? I mean, I know that's speculation, but that's what I was thinking. Like, either they for whatever reason, he may have changed it.
I think that let me go back on this. I'm just, you're pretty much talking about Bernard Robinson when he was at the graveyard, right? And he's pretty much talking about that the autopsy he's referring to from Mexico was saying that she did have a spinal cord injury. So he's saying that that's not what that the autopsy he received said, when the FBI said undetermined. So he's talking about the discrepancy between those two reports.
Right. That's why I'm saying that, but it doesn't, because he's saying what the autopsy said, that he received what it said, but the autopsy that I read said just, atlas dislocation. So I mean, and I understand, like, there could be some, loss in translation with that as well. But I'm just thinking that if he has one that says spinal cord injury and broken neck, did that particular doctor consult with someone, or, whether it was in the United States or otherwise, and go back and change it? Because I'm sure he knows what it said.
He only has, I know for sure that he only has the death certificate that said that. And then he also has the autopsy from Mexico that I emailed to myself. So I know exactly what he has. He only has those two things. And just like a lot of people out here, he's just as lost as what's going on. He just knows that what was told to him from Elizabeth, that the funeral home, Elizabeth, which works at the funeral home, when she was helping him to get Shanquella's body transported back to the United States, that she said, no, this is what happened to your daughter over the phone. So that's what he goes by. And then the autopsy that I sent him, and then the death certificate, he combines those two. And a lot of people go on and on about, like, the difference between, like, the Atlas luxation and Atlas dislocation and subluxation. There are so many subluxation. There are so many forms, and that's why I said I would actually want to see the original so I could see the exact terminology that was used. I know there's Atlas, like subluxation, there's dislocation, there's luxation. There's just so many different things, and that could have been lost in translation. But as far as Mr. Bernard, I would not really go too far with his statements, because he only goes by what he's told and what he sent. He doesn't, that's what he goes by. And the two things he has is a death certificate, and then he has that Mexico report that I sent him, the one that we've all seen, and then now as of recent, when he got this last one.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, so that'll be good too. When you said you're gonna do that Monday, go over the autopsy, right? Or are you scheduling that yet?
Yeah, on Monday, I will have a panel to go to autopsy. Like I said before, I have put it on hold because I was actually having a medical examiner. And then I actually had one that actually went back and forth and we even communicated on the phone. But once he saw that video, once he saw the video and he said, is that the only video? And I'm like, yeah, that's the only video. He pretty much stopped communicating, I guess. He actually said that I can actually probably pull up the message. I'm not gonna post his name or anything like that, but he actually said, like, is that the only video? Because she's sitting up at the end. This is someone new to it, and he didn't know anything about this whole thing. So he even said it himself. So a lot of people are not really gonna go off of that video alone. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot to it. There is a lot to this, but I do know that it was like 36 medical examiners I reached out to, and not one of them want to touch this case. And even the original one that did the one for the FBI, Thomas Owens, he doesn't even want to do interviews on it with me or anyone at this time. Now he might change his mind later on. Do I have that email from him? I think I posted it before. I don't think I might have deleted it off here. But anyways, I would just watch my last video for anyone out there that did not see that. But Thomas Owens, the one that did the FBI autopsy, said he's not going to do interviews at this time with anyone on this case. He clarified that it was just this case. He wasn't talking about any other cases.
Yeah, and I think that goes like that correlates what's going on in my as I sit and think about all of this. And I know you don't do the conspiracy thing, so I'm not going to go too far into that. But Danny, I really think this is a serious cover up. I really do, and nobody wants to touch it because I think they know it too. That's just what I feel. I feel like this is, I don't know what or why specifically, and what makes this to the point where they would do things different, but it has so much inference that they're covering something up, and not necessarily the Kabul 6. I don't think that the Kabul 6 is that important to them. I don't think that. But something is not right with this whole entire thing, even down to the doctor, like they say, okay, well, she, how they hide her. And I say to myself, why would this lady be hiding if the only thing she did was CPR and ask one to call 911? That's all according to what we know, that's it. So why would a doctor hide for doing CPR and telling somebody in the room to call 911? That's nothing to hide for. And that's nothing to be hidden for. It's got to run deeper than that. That's how I think, seriously.
Well, the doctor is not really hiding, in my opinion. She just pretty much moved on with her life. And I would say that she's avoiding medical negligence lawsuit, a medical malpractice lawsuit. She's avoiding that. And there could be a number of reasons, because he obviously should have just transported her to 911 emergency help. The body just called 911 and getting her help, not relying on the friends or waiting for them to give her confirmation or yes that she can go. As a doctor, as a medical professional, she should have just contacted 911 herself to get Shanquella help. And other things she probably have done too that could lead to her getting sued. So in that regard, it's best for her to remain silent to protect herself from getting sued. And with that comes also protecting American Medical Center, where she was just last working at. They don't want anyone to be contacting the doctor or reaching out to the doctor, because they can be sued as a hospital for medical negligence or medical malpractice. So I get what you're saying. And I said that a lot of people are just protecting their ass from being sued, and that's American Medical Center, the doctor, and CaboBills.com. And CaboBills.com will protect themselves because they actually run or manage over 166 vacation villas in Cabo, and that is a lot of money right there for tourism for Cabo. And there's their image they want to protect. That's why they rebranded the villa, and they don't want to get sued. So, in a lot of things, to be honest, we actually see this all the time in different places, that when something happens at any establishment or employer or business, I should say business, they always want to protect themselves from getting sued. Sometimes they actually offer you like a discount or some kind of something to try to appease you, to stop you from suing. They will offer you like a settlement to prevent you from suing. They will actually fire somebody from a job and say, we're no longer going to have this employee working here at this store because they were racist, and they're hoping that you don't try to sue the establishment or sue them for something, or they lose business or something like that. So I would just always say follow the money, and that's the cover up people are seeing are people not wanting to be sued, so they are remaining quiet, and they're telling their employees or even previous employees not to speak on it. And even also the police sometimes will say that since it's an open case, don't talk to anyone, and a lawyer will tell you that if it's an open case, don't talk to anyone. Like, do we even know if the doctor has a lawyer over there? Did she ever get legal representation? Usually when people have like a higher position, they usually do seek legal counsel on how to deal with something. And the legal representative will always advise you to keep your lips shut on anything. And that includes American Medical Center, which is obviously a hospital over there. They're definitely going to have legal advice given to them too, as well. As well as CaboVillas.com. Definitely, those people definitely have lawyers at their hands to tell them or advise them on how they should move forward or proceed.
Right. I understand that too. But it seems like it would just be like more or less, if they wasn't hiding, this is what I'm saying. Like, say for instance, when you were live and you were, trying to get a phone number, like a contact for her, and then they're like, she doesn't work here anymore. But then, you continue to, apply the pressure and, ask different questions. And then they ask you, is this about an admission? But people who don't work there don't do admissions. So it's not just that she's declining, but I feel like from that, I think that they're just plain hiding her. Like, you could just simply make a statement. She's not available for, to make any, a statement or something like that. But it's not even that. They're actually telling, to me, they're trying to they're being deceptive. And that's a really red flag to me.
And for that, I would say it's all about money. And American Medical Center does not want to be sued by Americans. They also don't want to have American tourists not wanting to use their establishment. It's all about protecting their brand, protecting the bottom line, their pockets. So I actually wouldn't expect anything more from them, but to try to protect the company and the brand in their pockets. And I even spoke to the managers over that American Medical Center, and they were rude. And one acted oblivious, like he didn't know what was going on or what I was talking about, and said, seeing him a bunch of links, he was just caught off guard when I called. So he just tried to be polite and to just get off the phone. One accused me of stalking him, even though that was my first time actually calling. This is all recorded. That's why I like recording things too. And another one, I can't remember what happened with that one. I don't know if I talked to him or not. But yeah, so the concierges, you already know, I called a bunch of them as well. And a lot of them were told not to speak or talk, especially the manager, Gio, who we now know gave a statement. And I actually asked him, was he a concierge for that night? He actually wasn't a concierge for the whole stay, but he is a manager, so sometimes he has to come out. And obviously for this incident, he had to come out because this was like a serious incident. So he had to come out and, of course, like manage it, because this was something over the other concierge head. And that's Gio. He's the manager, the head concierge for Cabo Villas. So I already knew that he had some involvement in this, but he initially was like, he actually told the truth that he wasn't a concierge for that night, but he was acting like he didn't have any knowledge at all. And he kept referring me back to CaboVillas.com. So I would just say, to be honest, that for CaboVillas.com and American Medical Center, they don't want to get sued, so they don't want to cooperate or participate or answer questions or be anything. And yeah, I finally did get the doctor's phone number after a lot of pulling teeth and on the phone back and forth. And even I got it when I eventually called, there was no answer, but I did share that phone number with Sue Ann. I don't know if she ever reached out or anything, but there was no answer. But to be honest, I expect that the doctor will get legal counsel, and also the Cabo Villas, they usually have in-house lawyers, that they have lawyers already at their, like, with their company. A company that has over 160 something vacation villas in Cabo is definitely going to have a lawyer or a team of lawyers at some point, because you're talking about in the millions of dollars at this point of revenue. And then also we have American Medical Center, that's like a hospital, like they put their name American Medical Center to attract tourists that come to Cabo. They're definitely going to protect their name, and they don't want to get sued too. So I expect all of this cover up, and I guess you would say it is covered up. I would say protection of assets and against getting sued. They let the doctor go to appease everybody. Just like with any incident, they'll let the employee go because they don't want to get sued. And they're like, well, if we fire this person, then people will leave us alone. They won't actually sue us because we actually let the person go. They're no longer working here. But that doesn't always work, because some people will still get sued. I mean, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, that's all I really had for tonight. Just want to touch on those things, and I'm gonna go ahead and drop down to the chat.
All right, but yeah, there was another one people were mentioning, Dina King. I haven't been here for like a week, so I haven't not really looked into the whole Dina King angle. But I do know that some people were talking about her possibly, since she is like the DA, and the DA has to actually U.S. attorney. After I say U.S. attorney, she actually has to approve the FBI packet or information they gave for her to evaluate and determine if it's sufficient evidence to proceed with the case or not. And yeah, so I haven't looked into that yet, but that's a different angle from the Mexico angle.
Yes, that would be good if you if you did get any additional information on Dina King and her relation to I believe her mom is Annette King Davis. I think it's either Annette or Antoinette. I always mix them up between a sister, she and a sister. And then there's also her the other attorney is Sandra Hairston, and Khalil is a Hairston. So it's, it could go either way or both, really. And it would be interesting to find out, do they have, even if it's second or third generation, or do they have, even if they didn't know that, they could have been in blindly, but I'm just saying that could be an avenue, couldn't it? If they are related, that it would have to be opened back up.
You're talking about the U.S. attorneys?
Right, because if they have, wouldn't they have to be recused, and then wouldn't they have to open this back up if they have relation to either there's somebody in the Cabo Six?
Yeah, and of course they will actually probably try to assign other people to it. If there's like a conflict of interest or things going on like that, then yeah, sometimes they will assign other people to look at it.
Right, and when I say open back up, maybe I use the wrong word, but maybe have someone come in and take a second look, because of any relation that they may have. Like, and again, this is just alleged. I don't know if they are or if they are not, but I think that if it comes out that either one of the two are, that would be reason to take a second look, whether it was on purpose or by mistake. If it comes out that way, then maybe they could get this case looked at again by the outside party.
That is a possibility if there is some kind of connection to where they would, where they could be biased or something like that, and they would do that. Another angle to look at this is, let's just say that they were related in some way to one of the Cabo Six, okay? what would that change about the autopsy? Because the autopsy was done by Thomas Owens, a white male who has no relation to those. I'm not saying that if you go deep into an ancestry, you might find somebody white in their child, but you know what I'm talking about. So Thomas Owens did the autopsy for the FBI, and he's a white male, no affiliation to anybody involved, and the manner of death is undetermined. The U.S. Attorney's Office, their main key evidence that they said kind of like made this case not move forward for prosecution is that the autopsy was undetermined. Okay, so how can there be a cover up with Dina King or even the other U.S. attorney when they are strictly going by their autopsy of undetermined? That's their main key piece of evidence, and that person is not a part of the cover up, unless you're saying that they're on the payroll of those two attorneys. So that doesn't really make sense, because the main evidence is that autopsy report that's holding them back.
Well, I guess I could answer that in more than one way, or for more than one reason. So first of all, if it's believed that their results are concrete, if the family, first and primarily, then there would be no reason for a third. So that's one. Like, we all agree there should be a third, but if we feel like what that autopsy was done and there's no foul play or whatever, then what's the need for a third one? That's one. And then the other thing is that, and I only go by what I see on TV, because I don't know anybody that have ever been federally investigated. But I would assume that an autopsy would not be the only thing that someone would investigate to say that there's not no what I want to say, there's not a murder. So I mean, you have the autopsy that says this. Besides, the neck isn't, according to you, it's not broken, but she has all of these contusions and bruises all over her body. And at the end of the day, she was healthy when she came, and she didn't die of natural causes. So that should be a huge indicator that we can't only use this autopsy to make our decision. And I want to know why.
I mean, that we can say this happened and that happened, but with any court case, the autopsy is like the biggest piece of evidence of what happened to someone. Your body essentially speaks for you for what's your cause of death, what happened to you. Medical examiner cannot come to that conclusion of what happened to you. The DA can't go to court and say you were killed if the autopsy said that there's no evidence to prove that you were killed. They need the autopsy. They 100% need the autopsy to say homicide for them to try someone with homicide. They can't try with someone with homicide if it says undetermined, unless there's it has to be a lot of evidence to the contrary of it being that way. But for this case, they're saying they're saying it's not so at this point. Now, could things change? Yes. But for Dina King, now to be honest, it depends also on the U.S. attorney in that case. If the U.S. attorney goes over the evidence and they have to say, if we took this to court, will we win this case? If they think they won't win the case, they won't proceed. Now, if you actually go to a different U.S. attorney, I'm not saying that this is always the case, but it's sometimes like going to a different lawyer. There are some lawyers that believe that they can win like any case. They think they're just that good. And then there's some that actually believe that they'll look over something, they'll say, well, I just don't have a case. So could it be possible that the two U.S. attorneys, they looked over and they felt like it wasn't a strong enough case for them to win, but then maybe another U.S. attorney or someone else, another different attorney, might look at it and say, hey, this actually is strong enough evidence. So what we have to keep in mind that we do have, in that sense, we do have two U.S. attorneys that then will decide whether they can win the case or not, and what based on their own personal beliefs and opinions of the evidence. So it's not like 100% that all lawyers looking at the case will say, or attorneys looking at it will say there's not enough evidence. It's just these two looking at it, and with the help of others are saying, hey, We don't think this is strong enough evidence to pursue the case. And with that, I really don't know, to be honest. But they have to have, beyond a reasonable doubt, that evidence. It's not just probable or assumptions or guesses. It has to be 100% strong evidence. And to be honest, most people won't really pursue a case. Even some lawyers won't really take on a case sometimes that if you don't have proof that it was a homicide on a death certificate or on an autopsy. If you don't have proof that it was a homicide, they won't even take the case, because in order to sue or do a lot of things, it has to be determined cause of death as that. And when I actually reached out to Ben Crump before, one of the questions they asked is this like, what's on the death certificate? What's listed as the cause of death or manner of death? Because they want to know what they're looking at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get that. I feel like, and I was told again, this is what I was told, is that, like, take for instance, like, if in fact that, and legally, if they wanted to get any like phone records or prior text messages noted, like, they can go and they can delete them all they want, but the FBI has a way that they can still get them. But the only way they could start that is off of a warrant. And if they never issued a warrant on any of them, then how would they have that? So there's other things. There could be admission in their own text messages. It could be information in their text messages. And if they have never issued a warrant on all of them, how would they have that?
Personally, I think that sometimes I know that there are things ways to retrieve evidence. However, that's not always the case for some evidence. So the reason I say that is because sometimes with some videos that are like of a certain length or certain things sometimes can get lost. Like once you like go into like the cloud and you delete it, sometimes it's hard. It will be hard to retrieve that, especially when you're dealing with phones. On computers, it's more easier to get information, like retrieve information that's been deleted. But on a phone, it's kind of different, to be honest.
Well, I heard that they can, if they want it, they can do it. It's called a digital imprint, so it's never lost and they can find it. But that would take, investigation. And also, like I said, they would have to have a warrant in order to do that. So if they didn't issue a warrant on any of them, then is it safe to assume that they do, or is it safe to assume that they don't have it?
Well, that's sometimes the case. We all will hope that everything can be saved. But I'm telling you that sometimes that if you have something if you delete it from your phone, sometimes it can still be kind of saved in some kind of cloud, because some things automatically upload to the cloud or something like that. But if some things are put to the cloud, and if it's over a certain amount of like space, or take a certain amount of gigabytes or space, sometimes they can't. If you go into the cloud, if someone goes into the cloud and deletes it, and someone later tries to retrieve it, it can be lost because of the length of the material. It'll be easier for a picture to be retrieved than a video, because a video would take up a lot of space. And what I mean, it's kind of like, there's a website called Website Archives, or Web Archives, right? You could actually insert a link and they'll actually bring up old information from the web, right? Like previous websites and how they looked and what information was there and things like that. You can even do that for YouTube videos. Like, let's say someone deleted their YouTube video, you have the link to the old video, and sometimes they would still give you the thumbnail and some information of when the video was uploaded, so they can still get like a snapshot of that time period. However, if you actually try to click play on the video, it won't play. And the reason is because the video is too long of length to actually save, or to have retrieved it. They can only retrieve a snapshot of it. So when it comes to pictures and text messages and things that are not required to take up a lot of space or storage, you can easily retrieve it. But when it comes to videos that require some kind of, like, it has more megabytes and gigabytes, sometimes even gigabytes, depends on the length of the video, that could actually be harder to retrieve from the clouds. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's what I was mainly talking about, because the more or less text messages versus the video, even though the video would be good too, but it seems as though at the heat of the moment, in the heat of panic, that I mean, whether it is or is not, that a thorough investigation would have included to retrieve that. But from my understanding, and again, is that and I just heard this from someone, who's into law. They're saying that in order to do that, legally do that and have it, hold any merit, that it has to be a warrant in order to get that. So if they haven't put a warrant on any of them, and then, there's only a Mexican warrant from, for Dejanay, then it just gives rise to me, if that is correct, that they didn't get the text messages either, because they don't have a warrant on them. I mean, they could get whatever they give them, but the whole nitty gritty, they would have to issue a warrant in order to get it. So if you never issued a warrant, then what's going on with that part?
Well, to be honest, I really don't know the whole process for the FBI, but for the most part, I'm pretty sure they probably tried to do it through like cooperation. But who's to say also that they did not actually get any, like do any searches or anything? We don't know.
Right. If they voluntarily did it, I guess they could, just go ahead and voluntarily do it. That's the only thing I can think of.
That he's actually, I mean, they have statements from all the Cabo, so I'm sure they actually had probably permission to do it. And there's ways that they can actually hook up someone's phone to retrieve things from their phone. Like they can actually retrieve a phone, take a phone, hook it up to this device, and actually download everything from that phone to their system. There's ways that they can do that as well. So I'm sure they probably had for them willingly to participate. Remember, they said they had statements from all the Cabo 6. I mean, they said they had statements from the Cabo travel mates. They didn't say, well, we had statements from some. They said from the Cabo, like the blanket statement.
Yeah. I mean, I did hear the part about the statement, but they made no reference to anything else. And that's just like, it's on my brain. It really is. It's just on my brain. I don't know.
And yeah, gotta take 5, the Wayback Machine. A lot of times you can use you can retrieve like an old YouTube video link, even someone deleted it. You can get like a snapshot of their thumbnail. It'll show like the date the video was made. It'll actually show like the video, the page, the web page that the video was on. Like it'll seem like the chat is there. It seems like everything is laid out how it was at that moment, like snapshot of the past. However, as soon as you click play on the video, it actually gonna play because it actually didn't save the video, but it still will have that snapshot. So that's why I was saying that. But yeah, as far as text messages, to be honest, that can actually be sometimes requested by just through like phone companies, like whoever your phone provider is, that can also be requested. And to be honest, I don't really think a lot of times they need a warrant. They can just request, like it can be like, I have to actually look at it again, but there's different ways to request that information. Law enforcement can request information from like the providers.
Oh, so, I definitely believe that, because that has happened with me, as far as when they were trying to find me for my son, not the FBI, but they actually, was like, okay, we found this information. So they didn't necessarily use a warrant for it, but they were trying to contact me for a different reason. So, and this was just the local police, so they can go into text messages and retrieve them. But when they said what they were basing it off of, because the text message could be either way, and they just said statements and autopsy. They never said phone records, and that just puts up a red flag to me. Even if it was text messages between people in Mexico, I'm just saying, like, they never mentioned that. They only mentioned statements in the autopsy. So I guess until, it's actually revealed right now, I feel like,
I'm sure there are text messages, but we don't know what was all said in the text messages.
Right.
And to be honest, sometimes with some crimes, these Cabo, they are not just they actually had this already planned out. I mean, they already knew that certain things could be done, like through text messages, even probably phone calls. They would probably be paranoid and be thinking about all these things ahead of time, you know, to be honest. So I don't know. They will act to be honest, at the very moment they decided to cover this up and say alcohol poisoning and she fell in the bathroom, at that moment they would actually be covering up anything. They to be honest, at that moment they would already start deleting things, because they would think that once the police came out, the police might investigate, like from Mexico, police might investigate. So at that moment when they started doing that, they already had started deleting in Mexico. And remember, the FBI didn't start the investigation until much later. At that point, they have plenty of time to delete things from the cloud and make it more difficult to get evidence. And trust me, like, to be honest, like on your phone, most people delete it from their phone, but they don't really go into the cloud for things that automatically upload to the cloud. But someone savvy enough, they can go to the cloud and delete it. And once it's deleted from the cloud, it'll be harder to get. Now, text messages that's sent through like a third party, like through a provider or another company, that's different. But that a phone, like a video on your phone that you take yourself and you delete from your phone, and then you go into your settings and you permanently delete it, and you also go on your cloud to make sure it's not uploaded there, that actually kind of can wipe it out. It'll make it hard to retrieve unless you actually communicated it. And what I mean by communicated it means you actually sent it through to someone else on the opposite end. Then at that point, now you're dealing with a provider that can help pull it, like whoever the phone company provider is could probably pull it. But anything that just was on your phone and never left your phone, like communicated, then that's different. You can actually wipe that out. Yeah.
So, and lastly, in that regard, is that I could understand like them as a U.S. attorney not turning over information to whoever the defense would be, but seeing that this is, you know, they're supposed to be on the, you know, on her side. It seems as though that there would be more cooperation with her attorneys. So like, why wouldn't you have at least whatever you have, instead of giving a verbal, why wouldn't they have given them that information? Because although, okay, this is not, you know, right now, until you bring anything further, we don't have any evidence. Well, you know, if she has a private attorney, then why wouldn't they give it to the private attorney if you're really on if you're really on Shanquella's side? Like, it seems as though that here, this is all we have and this is what we came up with, but you know, this is what we have. If you think you can do more with it, then by all means go ahead. But it's as though like they're not releasing it they're not releasing it. So for what? Why are you not at least given, you know, regardless of what you do in the public, which even I think that was a little shady how he did that. But okay, regardless of what's released to the public, and right now I don't have much to do, you know, that I could, according to them, I can't do much more because of what this autopsy is saying. Like, but what we have, if you feel like you can come up with something more, then here's what we've had so far, and here you go. But you know, there's strong inference that even the autopsy was released to the public before it was released to them. So it's just like they just doing a lot of different stuff that out of the norm. Like when we think about things in a normal circumstance or things that happen, but they're not doing anything normal, and it just gives a lot of rise to that there's something, you know, going on, and it just doesn't look good.
Technically, usually the autopsy is something that, yeah, they sometimes in some places they actually don't release the autopsy until they actually complete an investigation, but not all the time. So it's not really unusual for an autopsy to be released, even when an investigation is ongoing. Now, what would be unusual is for them to release all the documents and evidence and then say that the case is still open. They really won't do that. In my opinion, I believe that the FBI believes that a homicide occurred, and even in the autopsy, they mentioned like blunt force. They also mentioned that the violence that occurred, like the attack, so they actually have that in the report, like as part of like what happened or the events led up to it. And the fact that it's undetermined is actually not a good thing. However, on the flip, we have to look. I always look at everything from every angle because that helps for clarity. Undetermined actually leaves room for the case to actually be ongoing or open, because they could have actually just put accidental and then that would actually close it up, right? Instead, they said it's between accidental and homicide, because that way this could still be an open case. And that means that the medical examiner thought that, hey, it could go either way, or it could be argued either way. So it's not saying it could go either way, but he's looking at it from a case perspective, as someone being able to argue the case or defend or prosecute the case. He's saying that someone could probably argue it either way as accidental or homicide, and he doesn't want to put his name on it that is either one at this point, right? So he put undetermined. So the medical examiner is not saying that no violence occurred. He's probably saying that it's 50%, or even it could be 70% that is violence and 30% chance of accidental. But since he cannot say 100% either way, he's not going to rule either way. So undetermined is not 100% bad. It's saying, to be honest, 50-50. Or it could be 60-40 or 70-30 or 80-20, 10-90. We don't know the percentage here, right? So since he doesn't know 100% either way, he's just going to say undetermined. So you think that medical examiner is not looking at that autopsy, looking at her body and seeing that it's violence here, right? He is.
Right.
But however, he can't say 100% violence, and then it could be argued in court as violence. So that's why he has to put undetermined on there, because he knows that someone else could look at the results and say, hey, this could have also been accidental, because a friend said that she left the room and walked into the bathroom, and then she probably fell and they found her on her face. So then since they found her on her face, you can say, well, maybe she did also have violence, like the attack was violent, and then that led to these injuries. But then the other injuries, like the other injuries could have led, like he could say, like 70% of her injuries could have come from a violent attack, and then 30% that actually killed her was when she fell in the bathroom, which is accidental. You see what I'm saying? So he cannot say 100% that it's violence. So he's not saying that no violence occurred at all. So we have to remember what undetermined cause of death means. So with that being said, if there's some more evidence that comes out that can point more towards violence, then that actually will be helpful. Now, what evidence is that? Another autopsy, to be honest, will be great, because there could be a medical examiner that examines the body. It has more experience, more expertise, more knowledge, and everything else. He examines the body, and he is able to 100% give an answer on the cause, the manner of death, and put it as homicide, because there's a difference between manner and cause. So as a manner of death, and put it as homicide. So I agree with having a third autopsy, but I would get the cream of the crop, the best that money could buy, somebody that is, good at cold cases. When I say cold cases, it's someone that, when someone has experience on cold cases, especially bodies that have been embalmed and bodies that were someone committed homicide years ago, 10 to 15 years ago, like even the longer the better of experience of working on like Jane Doe bodies of people that were found maybe 15 years later, and that person was able to examine the body thoroughly and determine the cause of death, even on a decomposed and embalmed body. They need the best of the best that money could buy, that they can afford. Get that person to do the autopsy on the body, and then see what that person says, and go from there. Because this person has experience, but they have 13 to 17 years of experience. But I don't know, their experience could be on typical bodies. And I mean by typical, they could be like typical open and shut cases. Someone with this sort of qualifications I'm talking about is used to bodies that are hard to determine cause of death, but they are just that good. You see what I'm saying? And also they're not afraid to give their opinion on the body. Like they're not afraid to say that they see 60% violence and then maybe 40% possibility of accidental, and they're not afraid to say without a shadow of doubt this has to be accidental. You see what I'm saying? We need someone like that. This person seems to me to be afraid, so they're riding the fence. They don't want to be wrong on this, so they're riding the fence, in my opinion, because there's no way you can do a full autopsy on somebody and come away with undetermined cause of death.
Right. This is the very first time in a lifetime that I've ever heard of an autopsy says undetermined. Like, I've never in my life ever have heard of an autopsy, because that's the purpose of autopsy. And then for him to say undetermined, that just seemed like, he's just trying to save his butt one way or the other. Or it could be if he's trying to save his butt because he really doesn't know. Which, if you don't know, then maybe you shouldn't be doing autopsies, because that's the purpose of an autopsy, is to find out what caused it. So okay, so let's say, for instance, like I said, if I'm if I'm qualified for the job and I just disagree and say it wasn't violence, then I'm still going to say what it was. He's just given diagnoses. He's given medical diagnoses, but he's not given a cause of death. And normally on an autopsy, that's the purpose of an autopsy, to find out what is the cause. And he's just given diagnosis. And I'm sure, I just really feel in my bones that they should know what caused it. They should know. Whatever they do, I don't know. They're the professional, not me. They're the expert, I should say, not me. And that, all right, this is what caused the death. Like, this is what caused it. And for him to say that he doesn't know, another red flag. Another red flag. So, that's it.
Okay, some people are naming different doctors and different people. So what I could do is I can try to reach out to some of the people y'all naming. And to be honest, some of the people that are at the top of this game, forensic science, forensic medical examiners, pathologists, these people will be kind of booked and busy. They will actually be probably doing lectures and events and meetups. They become like famous because of their expertise. So essentially what we can do is we can contact these people. You never know what your response or answer you will get. Some people are mentioning Henry Lee. There's Henry C. Lee, and it has this Henry C. Lee Institute of Forensic Science, University of New Haven, 300 Boston Post Road, West Haven, Connecticut, 06516. It has a phone number and an email for him. So if y'all think this is someone y'all posting, we can all email this person, including myself, and we will actually see. Sometimes some people will actually take on a case for free. You never know. If it's something like like an international case like this, sometimes they will actually take on it for free, because it actually gives them like it's kind of like it helps build their resume and credentials. You know what I mean? I can't really think of the word right now because I'm actually getting kind of tired. It's kind of like they can add to their kind of like a portfolio of their like past experiences and things they've done. I mean, this is an international case, so we'll see. Like everyone, like email, it won't see. That's the thing. Even though if this person is like popular and has might be booked and busy, you never know. You have to always try different things, right? So let me go ahead and post this right here, and everyone just email him and see if he will actually take on this case of the autopsy of Shanquella. And also, if you have a copy of the autopsy, which I have posted numerous times, send him a copy of it and just ask him if he can give his opinion of the autopsy, right? So just if a lot of people do it, you never know. He might actually say, oh my gosh, there's a lot of people emailing me about this. There's power in numbers. So I actually will email everybody to see if they can actually get this person to look at the autopsy as well. So we will see. And that's actually a good idea that y'all brought up, that we can actually try to reach out to some of the top people in the game, some people that are not afraid to examine certain like hard cases like this. There are top people in the game. And what I mean by top is sometimes people at the top, they already have established themselves. They're fierce, they're brave, they're courageous. They're not afraid to be like a leader, to have, like the be someone that this feels like they're like, I wouldn't say they feel like they're all knowing, but they are sure of themselves. They are sure of themselves. They are confident in their abilities and capabilities to be the top in their game and top expert. So we definitely need someone like that. So if y'all know someone like that, then hit me up and I will actually put it in the email to everyone to email that person. And hopefully they can actually take on this. We will see. We will see. It doesn't hurt to try. I mean, I did email 36 people, so it might seem a little desperate to some people, but to me, I'm just trying to do what I can. And it didn't really work, but who knows? It might actually work with someone that is more courageous to take this on, because it is a lot to take on, and the person has to be used to being in the limelight, in the spotlight, should I say, and used to a lot of attention, and used to people critiquing their work, because this does require a level of, some things can be done like privately, and then it's not like a international case. And then some things are like international. So as soon as you examine the body or you do anything with the autopsy, it's going to go throughout social media and everywhere. And then your name is on the line, your neck is on the line for your opinion you gave. So someone that is used to their opinion being evaluated and critiqued is better than someone that is used to everything being done privately and behind the scenes. So that's why that's actually a great idea to reach out to like a celebrity forensic scientist, than someone that is usually just your local run-of-the-mill person, that's used to more privacy and not any public spotlight.
I agree. And Henry Lee, and then I'll look at some stuff in the morning, because I'm thinking like, are there any prominent African American forensic scientists out here who maybe did undergrad at a HBCU? Like maybe they could also give their expert opinion on it as well. Like anything will help, because right now it's obvious that this needs help, and it's just like it doesn't register in my mind that they could just get away with this. And it doesn't. I know it has to be something. So I definitely will email Dr. Lee, and I'll also look and see if there are any prominent African American forensic scientists that that started out in like an HBCU or something like that, that they may also do this, just because she graduated from one of the HBCUs, so something's got to give here. And it takes a village. I believe it takes a village.
And that's also a great idea to reach out to, our fellow African Americans, to Black Americans, to actually see if they will actually give their take on it as well. Because a lot of times, yeah, we do have people within our own community that could also help and assist with something that's taking place or happened to someone within our community, right? And I definitely will call tomorrow. I will actually put it on my to-do list to actually try to call this number as well for Henry Lee. And also will email. Now, will I get a hold of Henry Lee himself? Sometimes people have like a administrator or someone that actually like a gatekeeper that prevents you from getting a hold of the main person. But I will actually, y'all know I already will actually try to do my best to actually call this number at least a couple of times to see if I can actually get a hold of him. And then also, of course, email as well. Well, I would say call once, and I would leave my voicemail or in return number, and then I'll also email, of course. And I'm sure that I can also get y'all already know I'm kind of nosy. So I can probably get other emails as well. So I will also email probably his personal email, because sometimes I feel like I will not post his personal email publicly, but I will email it myself, because sometimes I can get through to people if I do their personal email instead of just their, public email. All right. I think that's pretty much going to be it, and I'll probably see everyone Monday. Someone did say, I saw a couple of questions about is there a case number? I do not have the FBI case number at all. However, if you actually look at the current autopsy from the FBI, they do have a case number for Mexico. So Mexico case number is on there. And to be honest, I think that's actually probably the one from Gerardo Zanika had posted before. I can't remember if it's a precise one or not. I have to actually go back and revisit his website and probably an old video. But I do know that at one point I did find a database in Mexico where you can search case numbers. Now, I doubt that they actually will have anything in their system yet because it never went to court yet. But yeah, so that there is a case number listed for Mexico, but I don't know about FBI. But since the case is open, then obviously, to be honest, there is going to be a case number because every police report or every case has a police report number or FBI number or case file number. That's the only identifier. Well, not only the main identifier of case file or case information. So that's how anyone can find anything. That's the same with the court system. When you call, they said you have the case number. And when you call the police, they say you have the police report number. You call the FBI, they actually would want the FBI number as well. Now, will they actually disclose that or give that out? Probably not. But with anything, as Shirley Lynn said, you can also always request information from the FBI through a FOIA form. Now, will they give you the information? Is up to them, but you can always request the information.
Yeah. I was going to just say, I did see, and I don't know if that's in reference to, there's some other things like surface and, the YouTube world, they're saying that, they're investigating, like they're asking questions, but if you notice, they never mention the case number, so there is no case. But I can just say from, of course, I don't work for the FBI, but I can just say there's not, like, if anything collected, they need a case number in order to attach it, because it's not like it's just something like John Doe. Like, whatever they collect, they have to attach it to a case, because where does it go? Like, you can have this information if everything's electronic these days. So how would you put this information whether it's scanned or you make it a document? It has to be a number for them to associate it with. They're not just generally typing something in a document file and then, and it's just, no, it has to be something for it to be attached to. So I never really got that. And just because they haven't released that or haven't exposed that, it has to be something that they are feeding this information into, if you understand what I'm saying.
That's automatic. That's right. Automatic with any police department, Leos. It can be even like anything that's government related, even if it's like from a citizen to government. Like if you apply for anything through the government or unemployment, Social Security, everything is always going to have some kind of identifier to pull up your account, whether it's from your Social Security number. If you go to the police department, it's a police report number. If you go to the court, it's your court case number. The FBI will have the law enforcement, the case file number to pull it up. You go to the hospital, they will pull it up probably by your name. There's always a way to pull up. And with police and law enforcement, there's always going to be a case number. If an inmate is placed into a correctional facility, they will have the inmate number, like your inmate ID number, so you can contact that inmate and find them by like an inmate ID number. There always has to be an identifier on any file, so people can identify that file and pull that file and retrieve that file, and also later archive that file. I mean, that's to be honest, that's like, even if you like email someone like with the FBI and say, do this have a case number? They will look at you crazy, to be honest, because I'm not calling, I don't know where this information is coming from. I'm not calling anyone crazy or anything like that, but they were automatically like, yeah, because that's how we keep track of the documents, or we distinguish between each case file or distinguish between accounts. Now, you can also find cases by names, but typically people prefer the police report number. And the reason they prefer that over a name is because a name can be attached to, there are some people that have a rap sheet, like an extensive rap sheet, even with the FBI. So they actually try to retrieve what that person did by just their name. They would probably have 50 records pull up, like 50 case numbers. But if you give them a case number, and then they'll be able to pull up the exact case that is pertaining to. So case numbers are significant, and every place usually goes by a case number or a file number. So that's actually just 100% just based on how things operate and run.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, and that needed to be said. Like, it just doesn't happen that way. And like, take for instance, like I'm more on the on the medical side. Like, we have, it's a record number. Like, where are these medical records going to go if we didn't have a number to associate it with? Like, if you just can't have records, and and although maybe everybody doesn't see that number, then when you're dealing with things electronically, like, and you're I hate, and I mean this in the realest sense, and not as to Shanquella, but you're no matter where you go, you are a record number. Whether however you do it, but however you slice it, dice it, when you're trying to find somebody in the system and you're trying to do you're trying to get direct identifiable information, or you're trying to put direct identifiable information, it's going to come up. It's got to be a number. It's not going to be a name. So how this all started, I don't know, but there is no way in heck that there's not a case number. It's no way, because where they putting the information to, where they feeding it to, how's it being stored in the system? It's definitely not under the name and date of birth. Trust me. We probably
I mean, it says open case means just that, a case. And any case where even cases are a cold, like an open case will have a case number, a closed case will have one, and then even a cold case will have one. And that's how this always retrieved from archives or databases, is how you identify the file. So that's neither here nor there. To be honest, I wouldn't actually even like I would actually even go back and forth with that, because that seems I actually won't say that because I don't want to know who's putting this out. But to be honest, I'll just be honest, it's like elementary, and it's not something that is actually going to be, I wouldn't spend a lot of time discussing, because it's something that is obvious to what will happen in anything that you're dealing with in life. They will have an identifier, and when it comes to law enforcement and the courts, they definitely always will have a case number, and they will call it either police report number, incident report number. They would call it a court case. Like, it's always going to be some kind of number, identified number. They're going to put it into the system as to retrieve that case. So actually reaching out to the FBI and saying, does this case have a case number? And they would be like, yeah.
Yeah, I do. I just want to clear that up for you, because I don't know if you knew with that was with it, which it could be a possibility, but it has been in more than one area. I've seen like, oh, there's no case number. Trust me, there's
I'm not trying to shade. Now I'm gonna have some people coming after me. I'm not trying to shade anybody. I'm just saying,
no. It's nobody. Yeah, no.
In society, and anything like you're dealing with law enforcement or court systems, you're going to have identifiable file number or case number associated with it, and especially when you're dealing with the courts and law enforcement. And for FBI, once you actually get any files from them or anything like that, it has a case number. So I don't actually know what someone is talking about, whether something wouldn't have a case number to it. That's automatic, and it's automatic that something has to be assigned a case number or police report number, etc., whatever they want to call it.
Yeah, I think it wasn't like, it was more or less like, people everywhere have these, all, no matter where what panel or what, they're really searching, like they're really doing their due diligence, and it's just like that part is missing. So it's like, shoot, there's no case number. I don't think it was like, oh, this isn't real because there's no case number. It wasn't one of those type of things.
Oh no, they're not gonna find a case number online for sure. That has to be, you have to get that from the FBI. You're not gonna find a case number online anywhere.
Yeah, I think it was more or less that, like,
So yeah, that they're trying to find it online through any database, they're not gonna find it. Now they can probably request that from the FBI, the case number. To be honest, I probably can try to see if I can get a case number, but it's not something I would put. I would not waste a question to Shelley Lynch for a case number. I would not waste that time doing that, to be honest. I only write to her when I actually need something periodically for something I need to know. I won't actually write her and say, there's a case number, or does this actually have a case number? I won't write that kind of question.
No, I don't think so. I think it's just a common misunderstanding, or
Yeah.
just I should say just a misunderstanding. I don't think it wasn't any shade or all this other stuff. I think that, because again, like I say, it takes a village, and everybody's trying to, do what they could do, but that's just one of the. It was like more of a stumbling block, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. So usually what you can do is you can request the information from the FBI. And to be honest, it's not going to really cause that much harm to someone to give you the case number. Now, will they give you the information in that file? Not really, because it's an open case. But usually they probably will give you the case. I don't see any harm of them giving you the case number. I don't see why they would actually hide that information.
Okay, so I think I know you said you're getting ready to end soon. I'm going to go ahead and drop down because it's 1 a.m. on my side. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and drop that. I'm gonna be in the bushes until you end. But thanks for having me on your panel. It's always a pleasure. And if I come up with anything additional, any questions, I'll wait for Monday.
All right. And also send me the link. You said that Sue Ann.
Oh yeah. I definitely will. I will, and
that to me as well.
I will. I definitely will, Danny. I will. So I'll send that probably before I go to sleep tonight. I'll send it to you. And I'll send you both because I have it where I cut it to when she came in because it was like an hour long podcast, and she was on for like a half hour of it. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. It was very good. Very, very good. It was good.
Okay. So
Okay.
yeah. All right, thank you, and I'm glad you came up. I always enjoy your company.
You're welcome. Have a good. I guess it's a good evening for you, but it's a good morning for me.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Okay, everybody. I have been on here 3 hours. I'm gonna look through some questions. And then I will be back on Monday for open chat and open panel and discussion. And okay, so let me read some comments. I see here. Let's scroll up. Yes, St. Hudson says welcome to my second channel. A lot of people have the same name, especially in America. We need records by number. Yes, we definitely do. And like even the one person can have a lot of records, and that can go. Oh my gosh, there are some people with the same name, and if you actually like pull up like the clerk of court and you search through their public database for information, you can scroll through pages and pages and pages of people with the same name, but a different middle initial. That's why middle initials are always important because it can actually help distinguish a case, one case from the next. But the best distinguisher of information is if you have the case number and you call the clerk and you say, I need information on case number XYZ, they can pull it up and then tell you what it's all about. If you call and says, I need information on Roger Jackson, and then they look at the system and then they say, oh my gosh, I have 1 million Roger Jacksons in this computer. So, I mean, that's why the case report number is better. And if there's 1 million Roger Jackson, they say, do you have the middle initial? And they'll probably say the date of birth. The date of birth is usually next because that will, usually it's not going to be a lot of Roger Jacksons born the same exact date. But the best, precise, and more efficient way is to get a call the clerk of court and then give them a case number that you already have the case to. And then they can pull it up and bingo, there is all the information they need. Yeah. Okay, let me read some more comments. Jacqueline says, all those examiners are good ideas, but is the family going to put up that GoFundMe funds? Oh, Lord, I clicked on this one. Woo! I don't talk about the GoFundMe, child. Says the family going to put up that GoFundMe funds to do that when they are looking for justice, money talks. I'm not going to get into what the family is doing with the GoFundMe, how they're going to spend it, how they're going to allocate the funds, disperse the funds, or however they're going to do it. But I do know that they have Sue Ann Robinson and Ben Crump as their representing them, and that can be costly as well. So, yeah, I don't really know what they plan to do, but they did mention, Salamandra Robinson did mention that she planned on trying to exhume the body and doing another autopsy. Okay. Now, there's sometimes there's medical examiners that obviously want to be paid for their time and services, and then there's others that do stuff free because they get paid in other ways. Number one, sometimes they're passionate about something. Sometimes they get paid in other ways. And paid in other ways means through like media attention, spotlight, credentials, adding something to their portfolio, or just they cared about the case. We don't know. But I mean, reaching out to different people won't actually hurt, because there are some people that might actually. There's two things here. One thing is, let me clarify this, because I'm not trying to overstep or interfere with anything the family has planning or going on. One thing I'm only reaching out to is someone to look at the autopsy that has already been done. Okay. The autopsy that's already been done, I said to email these different people to show them the autopsy to see if they are interested. And at that point, they can give their opinion on the current existing autopsy that has already been done. That's not overstepping. I have the right as a YouTuber or anyone just to get someone's opinion on the existing autopsy that has already been reported and put out by the FBI. Now, if that person decides to look at the autopsy report that's already been done, they look over it, and then they decide that they are interested in this case, at that point, that's when I will say, well, I do know her father, and then I could probably see if he is would be like interested in having this done, or like communicating with you, or maybe the person can reach out to the family. I don't know. So as far as me, I'm just trying to get some people interested in this by them going over the existing autopsy. And at that point, once they go to the existing autopsy, they might be interested in helping with this case more and then getting more involved. And at that point, I can try to do some connections. Okay. So that's the whole thing. So don't think that I'm trying to be out here overstepping it. I'm trying to choose someone for the family. No, I'm actually just trying to get someone to go over the existing autopsy. And that's why I told y'all to send the autopsy that we already have to this medical examiner. So I'm glad you brought this up, because I need to definitely clarify that I'm not the one choosing anybody for anybody. I'm not the one in charge of GoFundMe or gonna try to overstep into the GoFundMe or overstep into who's going to do the autopsy. I'm only going over the existing autopsy that we already have, that's already been done by the FBI, and having somebody look at that and give me their expert opinion on that. And someone that's not afraid to look at that and tell me what they think on it. Okay, so I hope that's clarified. Woo, I don't want to be out here seem like I'm overstepping, because that's not me. I'm not going to overstep. That's not it's not my decision on who will exhume and do an autopsy. It's not my decision on how funds will be spent. It's only my decision as a YouTuber and as a person looking into this, if I want to actually on my own time get a medical examiner to look at the existing autopsies and give me their opinion, expert opinion on it. So I hope that's clarified. Okay, I have not watched her latest interview to see anything, but I do want another medical examiner to look at the existing autopsies, both the Mexico and U.S. Autopsy. Look at the discrepancy between the two. Look over the results and look at what they think and give me their opinion. And then from there, go from there. Kaylee Anthony's cause of death was also undetermined. To be honest, I know about that case. I'm not saying I ever heard of it, but it's not kind of like at a time where I will actually recall everything or know anything about that like that. So I will actually have to look at that case up and go over that case. Yeah, see, I looked it up now. It says 2008. See what I'm saying? So I don't know about that case like that. I will have to look it up. I know about the case because I haven't seen like stuff like documentaries and things like that, but I don't know the case like that. Okay, so I will have to look that up. But yeah, so that's interesting. So undetermined cause of death for that case. Fantastic. Thank you, Danny. May God continue to bless you. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, we're all in this together. So make sure you just continue to sign and share the petition. All right, y'all. So I'm gonna have to get off here because it's late and I definitely need to get some rest. And then I definitely am gonna call some numbers tomorrow to see what people say. And y'all already know that I will update y'all on that. Now, to be honest, I think I might wait to call because this is the thing. So hear me out. I would rather call after they get a bunch of emails. Like, let's say, let's see, this hearing Lee. After a bunch of people, let's say 100 people email him, I would rather call after 100 emails because at that point, he can already see that there's a lot of interest in this case. You see what I'm saying? So I will actually wait until I know that a lot of people have emailed. And once I know a lot of people have emailed, I would try to call and seal the deal and say that a lot of people are interested in this case. You see what I'm saying? That works better because I need a lot of people emailing, and then I would say, oh, we heard that you're great. A lot of people are emailing. We want you on this. We need you to help with this case. So I would try to seal the deal that way. So I'm not going to call tomorrow. I'm actually going to wait until I know I'm going to wait until Monday, until after the weekend. But I know more than one person has emailed, inquired about this. Okay. So that's the plan. So what I need y'all to do is email at least Henry C. Lee for now, to pique his interest into why he's all of a sudden getting these emails. And then on Monday, I will try to close a deal on him, at least looking over the autopsy. All right, so let me post this one more time. Where is it? So here is his email address. Okay, so go ahead and make sure I email that, and then on Monday I'll call. All right. And now sometimes people I'm actually going to email too. And sometimes, to be honest, he might already respond to an email before the call, but I'm still going to call either way because there's a difference between someone saying no by email and someone saying no on the phone. So typically I would like to call myself. Okay. Okay. So to be honest, are you new here or what? Because Tisha, there are some days that this is open chat, and there's sometimes when it's not open chat, and my title will actually say open chat when it's open chat. There are a lot of messages I cannot read every messages, and I do think I don't know how to take your message, to be honest. It's clear that I'm actually reading the chat. Can I read every message? No. But I don't know if I should block you or not because your message is coming across kind of rude when you can actually see me interacting with the chat as the best as possible. And I've been on here for 3 hours as well. So make sure you clarify, are you being like rude or what? Because it's coming across rude. Or maybe it's just me overthinking. I don't want to overthink. But technically I actually interact with my subscribers a lot more than some people. Some people actually just get on here, they drop a video, and they hop offline. They don't actually interact with the chat at all. I start my chat off, my live off greeting a lot of people. I post messages and try to interact as best as possible. So yeah, your messages come across kind of rude for my channel when I'm actually more interactive than most creators, to be honest. Have they tried to reach out to Natalie Holloway's mom? I have no idea, to be honest, who. I heard that name before, but I don't know. I have not really known about that case. Let me look that up really quickly. See when that happened. She's okay. She says Natalie Holloway, 2012, deceased. Okay. No, I don't think so. So yeah, I will look into some of the cases y'all mentioning to see, because I did that before with the Bruce Redman case, where I compared the Bruce Redman case to the this Shanquella Robinson case. So I actually like doing case comparisons. So I'm glad y'all brought that up as well, for some comparisons here. And also shout out to Saint Hudson. Yes, thank you so much for supporting my channel. I appreciate the support. So again, shout out to Saint Hudson for the support. And everybody else, remember you can support my channel for free, just by hitting the like button. Ashton Lee says, good live, everybody. Thank you, Danny and Mods. Let's see, Star Alexander, thank you so much for all your hard work, Danny. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. You deserve, girl. Yes, I deserve a break. Yeah, I deserve a break. Like, you just don't know I deserve a break. So yeah, definitely. And I hope you enjoy your weekend as well, and everybody else. Okay, let's see. I'll read a couple more comments. My mom said, I asked if she had any questions, but she never responded. Yeah, I don't know. I've seen that name before, but I don't know where I've seen it at, or if it's just a troll or what. I don't know. I don't think I can't place I'm not gonna really say right now because I can't place the person. Maybe they had a question early in the chat. I didn't see it. But I can't if I stay on here and I answer every chat and I post it, I will be here all day. I've already been here 3 hours. And my intention is not to ignore anybody, but it's a lot of comments. I can't read every comment. And then I have people complaining is that all she does is read the chat. All she does is read the chat. There's already someone on my other channel saying I spend like 12 minutes or saying hey to everybody before I start the live. Doing Southern hospitality. So then some people like when I do like a long like opening trying to greet people, and then other people just want me to get straight to the content and skip all the greetings. You can't win or lose, child. Your intention is amazing. You always respond to me no matter what. Yeah, see, I try to respond. I try to respond to as many people as possible. And I guess some people might feel overlooked. And trust me, one thing I hate is being ignored. So I can understand when you post something in someone's chat and your question is not, someone else gets your question and you feel ignored. But I want people to understand that's not the case. I'm not here to ignore people. I wish I could. My minds get onto me because I stay on the live too long. I'm like, I'm leaving and bye. And then I read more comments. I keep staying on here. So even though I said I'm leaving, child. So I try to get to more comments because I hate when people feel ignored. I hate feeling ignored. So I know other people hate feeling ignored. I don't want people to feel ignored. So that's why I stay on a little longer. But I'm also human. I'm not a robot, even though people call me my nickname robot. I'm not a robot. I need to actually rest. I need to actually take a break as well. Okay. Shout out to Shell for the super sticker. Yes, thank you so much as always for supporting my channel. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, girl. And again, I always enjoy you on the panel. And yeah, but every time you get on my panel, I forgot to say this. I need you to you can put your Cash App up as well. When someone is on my panel, especially for a long period of time, you can always put your Cash App up so someone can support you as well. Because after a while, when you're on a panel for a long time, then you kind of become a panelist, and people can also show support to you as well. So you can always add your Cash App if you're on my panel. Just a FYI. St. Hudson says she's white, but she did a lot of boots on the ground work when she lost her daughter in the Bahamas, and the county did nothing to help her. Yeah, that's also a good idea to look at cases where there were others. See, that's why I like you listening to me, our opinions, right? So cases where there were undetermined causes of death, right? And make a comparison to what happened after that. And especially this, we need like something like this: undetermined cause of death. And listen here now, that eventually led to a conviction. So we need a case that was first determined, and I think they're saying Kaylee Anthony, that was determined or undetermined, but then they were still led to a conviction some kind of way. So that way we can see what we can do to kind of make the same thing happen for Shanquella, where it was undetermined, but we eventually can get to a conviction. So that's what we need. So if you have any cases, you post it in the chat, in the comments, okay? Because I'm about to get off for real this time, okay, mods? Cases that were undetermined as the manner of death, but then later it led to a conviction. We need to examine those cases to see what changed or what was initiated or what was employed or what was done to go from undetermined to later now conviction. And it would be great if the case actually involved the FBI and not just local law enforcement. Now, obviously, I'll take what I can get if it's local law enforcement, but obviously to make it more of a match for this comparison, it would be great as the FBI, but since it's probably not going to be FBI for a lot of these cases because a lot of these cases are local. But just in case, you never know, I'm just putting it out there that the best comparisons will be obviously things that are the same kind of level of law enforcement that's investigating as well. But we will see. So I will check out so for Nellie Holloway, was that undetermined cause of death or what happened with that? I will have to actually look into that. But okay, they said Kaylee Anthony was undetermined. And then, but wait, didn't she get off? Didn't Casey Anthony get away? I need to actually revisit that case. I've been in the bushes, but thanks for all your hard work. Hey, Rob, glad you came out of the bushes. All right, yeah, Aries is going to catch the replay. Ashton said, "It's so funny." I said to myself when you were playing on my TV that I have no idea how you talk so much. Now, I'm not going to get into like being like stereotypes, but I am a female for one. So I'm not going to get into like female stereotypes. Like, oh, all females talk alike. I'm just saying like talk a lot. But yeah, that kind of probably helps in some way, probably, right? And then other things in life that I have to do as well. I have to talk a lot. Natalie never got justice either. She got a lot of media coverage. That sucks. So we need someone that had undetermined and then they got eventually there was a conviction, or at least, okay, let me actually clarify this because this is a good point that you bring up, or you got me to think about. Okay, so undetermined, but the person at least got a fair shot at justice. And by fair shot is that they at least tried to take it to trial. Like the person might not have been convicted, but the person still had to go to trial. And that's something that we at least want Shanquella to get, is a trial, like for it to be taken to court. Right? So if you know where it was undetermined, but then the attorneys or prosecutor decided to take it to court and to at least try to pursue it anyway. And then the person might have got off, like it didn't lead to a conviction, but it still was a trial. So it can be that way. So it doesn't have to be undetermined that led to a conviction. It could be undetermined that led to a trial. Okay, so there's two different things there. Okay. Oh, wow. They still haven't found her body. Now, I did have a case before where there wasn't a body that was found, but they still brought charges on the person. So yeah, that's also another point that you actually bring up a little bit here, that there are some cases where the person is still charged and like it's tried, and they don't even have a body because they have a lot of evidence that the person was the last person seen with the body, or there was a lot of blood spilled in a certain area. There's cases like that as well. So there's a lot of things that we can kind of, I mean, like they can't even find a body and then a person gets taken to court. So there has been a lot of evidence. There's a lot to think about. So y'all have given me a lot to think about. There's a lot of angles to this. I definitely need to think about this. I think you do a great job with balancing all the variables you consider. Isn't it fabulous that you can't leave because you love what you do? That's beautiful. And yeah, I try to read as many comments as possible before I get and then I just actually just say, hey, I gotta leave. Danny, you've been so focused on all aspects of this case with all the research that you've done. Keep up the good work, but take time to rest your mind, body, and spirit. Blessings to you. So trust me, y'all have given me a lot to think about, a lot of angles and a lot of ways we can actually compare this to everything else. So now I definitely will think about this over the weekend and I will get back to y'all. But yeah, you will get an email from me probably tomorrow with some doctors that were mentioned in the chat. And what I mean by doctors, let me clarify: forensic scientists, medical examiners that are like world renowned that we can all reach out to. I'll be sending that out as someone to not overstep and try to exhume the body. That's left up to the family, but someone to just review the existing autopsy reports. Okay. She got off because her body, cause of death is unknown. Whew, see, that's what we don't want. Okay, this is my last comment for now. You do an excellent job. You listen to your subscribers and you investigate facts. We love you, but yeah, get your rest. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna get my rest. I will see y'all Monday. And yeah, it's still more stuff to do. Like even now, and I said I'm gonna enjoy my weekend, but you look what I said. I said tomorrow I'm gonna send out an email. So obviously I'm gonna be sending out emails. So I'm still gonna be doing something. But I'm trying to get some rest. I'm just gonna send out an email and then I'll rest the rest of the weekend. And I was make sure y'all hit the like button on your way out, and I will see y'all in the next live. Good night, and also thanks, Mods, for helping out with the chat.